And now, live from the Man Cave Studios, way up on the second floor, Studio B, on a Tuesday night Weapons of Mass Destruction Rant, with your co-hosts. Oh, Mass Distraction. It does say that. With your co-host, Patrick Acton's in the house, Teddy Bester, yours truly, Larry Parsons, and the awesome This Is My Brain podcast. And now, your host, the man that put this all together just for you and me, and the rest of these wonderful people here with me. Mr. Jeremy Scott Gibbs is in the house.
Woohoo! Yeah,
Woo.
we're here.
High atop the beautiful Man Cave Studio.
Man Cave Studios. Yes.
Way up on the second floor.
Absolutely.
I see John Bovey's in there in the house talking about. He says Baron. I don't know what does that mean.
No idea.
What does that mean? But Teddy's here. Patrick's here. Yeah, Teddy came through. I tried to see if a couple other people, but we're back. Missed last week. Stuff going on, but we're here. We're gonna chat it up. We're gonna do that. Oh, apparently it says the Black Strangler is here checking in. I'm glad that the chat disappears at the end of the show. So how's everybody doing?
We're doing well.
We're here.
Yeah.
All right.
Yep.
We had stuffed Florentine shells and signature salad. Of course, Patrick made himself a burger coming off of. Is your pack on, Patrick? I'm not hearing you. Made himself a burger coming off of a fast, which we all need to start doing. I've done a couple short ones. You know, you can do. Most people don't realize the term break fast,
Yeah.
breakfast.
Yeah,
It's break fast.
Yeah.
Break fast.
Yeah, because not just this wasn't the only thing, but monks would fast and pray through the night, and then in the morning they would break fast and have that meal. And we have exclusive meals for breakfast nowadays, but they didn't have necessarily exclusive meals for break fast. You know, you ate whatever was, they ate all sorts of stuff, and we think it's weird now that
It's supposed to be good for your system.
Yeah.
To,
to do periodic fasting.
yeah.
Absolutely.
I went. My last meal was on Saturday night at 7. I went all the way till yesterday afternoon at 3, which was 45 hours.
Wow, that's a heavy.
And then
Yeah.
And then I had a very clean meal with lots of protein and vegetables and a salad. And then this evening was the first time I've eaten since then.
Okay.
So kind of a back-to-back thing.
Right.
You know, the interesting thing is that after a period of time, I was no longer hungry. It kind of just went away.
Hmm.
The only thing I had was water, and I did have a little coffee.
Okay.
But other than that, no.
How long does it take you to go into? Do you know off the top of your head how long it takes you to go into ketosis?
I think it's 18 hours.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's ketosis?
You want to?
That's when your body starts repairing itself. It consumes fat cells. It consumes any diseases, any cells in your body that are dealing with, anything that's out of whack. Let's just put it that way. Cancer cells, what have you. So it consumes it all. Inflammation. Metabolic syndrome, arthritis is good for that. Anxiety, kidney health, muscle soreness, and I said anxiety. Metabolic syndrome, but I can tell you this: I went into a phase where I was just went to church on Sunday, and then I came home and I got all my rest of my mowers running, and I've got my chainsaws going, and I got my boat out of the garage, and I got that tuned up, and I cleaned it up, and I scrubbed it down, waxed it, got it ready to go on the lake, and then I cut the grass, and then I went inside the house and I cleaned the house. It's like
You just got into a mode, huh?
I was in a mode. Yeah, so
That's good.
That's a good thing.
Yeah, I think we've got to do more studies on all this stuff, the ketosis, and people don't realize, they don't even know the simple, they don't teach us this in health class and stuff like that, but just the simple things of fats. The fat cells in your bodies are where you store your toxins. And so when you go on a fast, a lot of times you can feel sick because your body is purging out those things.
Yeah.
And also when you, not just a fast, but when you start to lose weight, they'll get what they call it a certain type of flu, to where your body's flushing out the toxins. That's why I've seen this firsthand with a family member that passed away. But that's why mammograms can be, there's a big movement to get rid of them.
Yeah, mammograms, and the other one, the one I have to pick is biopsies, because your body encapsulates disease and encapsulates bad cells.
Yeah.
And it's this way of protecting you.
Right.
And then here comes these, the American Medical Association with their needles. They want to punch holes in them.
Yeah.
They want to punch several holes in them. And then as that needle, it gets a core of that lesion, and as they're pulling it back out in the tunnel that it was in, it's seeding cells.
Yep.
Causes metastasizing.
Right.
It spreads it. They claim it doesn't, but they haven't shown me any clinical studies that prove that. And there's a lot
more evidence that it does exactly what you just said.
And the problem with mammograms is they take a woman's breast and they smash it into a pancake. Now, if there are lesions inside that breast, it causes them to pop. And what happens if when you pop a pimple, everything comes flying out? Same thing with that tumor. And next thing you know, it's spread into the lymph nodes throughout their body.
Yep.
There's a Dr. Carl. I read an article on this guy, and he's putting on a seminar down in Delray Beach, Florida, at the end of this month. I wish I could find this article again. He is a MD and a PhD, and he specializes in data.
Right.
And he claims that patients who have cancer that do nothing live 4 times longer than the patients who go through the American Medical Association's protocol. So
you're exactly right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so we don't, just the basics of understanding that tumors are a line of defense for the body.
Yeah.
And that you should be, as soon as a tumor is discovered, the first step should be trying to figure out what is fueling it, what is feeding it, why is it there? Yeah. And people don't invest in that. They're not taught that that's what they should be doing. And because they're not taught that, then there is it's fear. And part of what I wanted to talk about tonight, just overall, is weapons of mass distraction. They inject fear, so you're distracted from looking at what your healthy alternatives are. And again, family member, I won't disclose much more than that, but went in for mammogram, was by all accounts perfectly healthy, had a rash with it by the next day across her breasts, and had passed within 7 days. Because they broke up all of that stuff that the body was protecting, And so we don't eat healthy in this country. I was saying during dinner, there's no such thing as a gluten. We went through the phase. Tanya didn't eat bread. There's a bunch of other stuff. Oh, I got a gluten allergy. Got a gluten intolerance. No, it's actually glyphosate and these other chemicals that they spray on the wheat. at the end, either before they harvest or right after they harvest, to keep it from spoiling. And then they turn around and they say that it's a gluten. You can't handle wheat. No, I can't handle the chemical that you put on the wheat. That's the actual problem. Yeah. But if they admit that, then they have to do it, which is one of the reasons I love RFK being in there in the HHS, because
you don't
he's
get
actually
this, because I grew up on a farm.
Yeah.
And I remember combining wheat. We put winter wheat in the fall, and in July we were combining it, and we never put anything on that. We never put anything on it.
No. But did you guys commercially sell it?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
Hey, it's the same thing. I'll look this up for you guys. Has anybody out there in the audience ever heard of? I'm trying to say if I'm saying it right. Plagira. I want to make sure I get it right. Yes. So Plagira. Listen to this. I'm going to go to the wall feed. So Plagira is a disease caused by a lack of vitamin niacin, vitamin B3. Symptoms include inflamed skin, diarrhea, dementia, sores in the mouth. An area of the skin's exposed to friction and radiation are typically affected first. Over time, affecting the skin, become darker. Not only that, your teeth fall out. There's a whole bunch of secondary stuff that happens. But here's the etymology down here. Plagira, known from Lombardia, exists. The exact origin are disputed. They're just going over the word. I thought they were going over the origin of it. Anyways, one of the histories of this, I was hoping that it would get into the history of this. Here we go. The Native American cultivators who first domesticated corn prepared it in a, I can't even pronounce that word, nixtamalization, in which the grain is treated with a solution of alkali such as lime. This process of niacin nurtures it and makes it available and prevents plagira. Okay, so one of the things that happened, here's what I want to get to. Plagira was studied mostly in Europe until the 19th century, late 19th century, when it became an epidemic, especially in the southern states. Do you know why? Here's the key. In the early 1900s, plagira reached epidemic proportions in the American South. Between 1906 and 1940, more than 3 million people were affected by plagira, with more than 100,000 deaths. Yet the epidemic resolved itself right after dietary niacin fortification. Well, why did we have to do dietary niacin fortification? Because they were removing it. Here's the next line. Plagira deaths in South Carolina numbered 1,300 during the first 10 months of 1915. 100,000 Southerners were affected in 1916. At this time, the scientific community held that plagira was caused by a germ or some unknown toxin in corn. No, it was the fact that they were removing the wheat germ that contained the niacin from the corn and selling the corn. You know why they removed the wheat germ from the corn? Because they needed it to last on the boats out there before they could ship it to, so they could ship it out and keep it healthy. I'm trying to see if it's in this line in here. And they actually did a pretty, this guy went into a, let's see. Okay, it's coming down here. Plagira was first reported in 1902 in the United States and has caused more deaths than any other nutrition-related disease in American history. Do you hear that? Caused more deaths than any other nutrition-related disease in American history. Reached epidemic proportions in the American South during the 1900s. Poverty and consumption of corn were most frequently observed risk factors, but exact causes were unknown until a groundbreaking work by Joseph Goldberg. And here's what it was. This next line here. One prominent theory is that the widespread cotton production had displaced local production of niacin-rich foods and driven poor southern farmers and mill workers to consume Midwest corn, which was cheap, relatively cheap, but also devoid of the niacin necessary to prevent plagira. That's a quote. The study, but here's the thing that they're not telling you. This is Wikipedia, so I'm reading this cold. I didn't go over this article before I pulled it up. Corn processing. The whole dried corn kernel contains nutritious germ and a thin seed coat that provides some fiber. There are two important considerations when using the whole grain. The germ contains the oil that is exposed by grinding. Thus, the whole grain cornmeal and grits turn rancid quickly at room temperature and should be refrigerated. So what they did was they took the germ out of it so that it didn't spoil. And in taking the germ out of it so that it doesn't spoil, what they did was they introduced everybody into plagiaria. And all these people are getting rashes and sickness and losing teeth and doing all sorts of stuff. And you know what the ultimate solution was? They put wheat germ back into it. They figured out a way to put it back and not they had some other thing to make it spoil. And this one doctor, I don't know if it was the same doctor in this article because I'm not going to read any more of it, but there was one doctor that specifically went to a prison work camp, and he took the prisoners there, gave them cornmeal with the wheat germ removed. They all got sick. They all developed the skin rashes, all the other symptoms that are listed on there. Okay. Experimenting on them. They're prisoners. Then he puts the corn with the niacin back into it, and they all recover within days. And he said, it's because we're taking the wheat germ out of the corn. And they talked about Southern America. You got grits, corn. You got cornbread.
Yeah.
You got straight up corn. You got cornmeal. They're making pancakes out of this. They're making bread out of this. They're making all sorts of stuff out of corn down there in the South.
Moonshine.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And if you're removing the wheat germ because you don't want it to spoil, what are you creating? You're creating this niacin deficiency. And that's what's happening. And so here's the dirty little secret. And this is weapons of mass distraction. When you see something on a product that says fortified with iron or fortified with niacin, what that should tell you, or at least cause you to investigate, is why was there niacin missing in the first place? Why do I have to have this fortified? Why are my cereal boxes say they're fortified with iron or niacin, or have to have a list of what they contain? Because a lot of those grains are devoid of good nutrients. When you're eating a box of Wheaties, you're not eating something that has a huge health benefit for you.
Yeah.
You're eating something that is. We didn't eat breakfast like that for years.
No.
For years. And here's my other question for you, everybody in the chat. How many have ever heard of plagiaria? How many have ever heard of it?
I have not.
I've never heard of it until today.
Oh, sorry, I muted you again. So you didn't hear of it till today?
Yep.
And yet, this Wikipedia article claims that it is still to this day, is the number one biggest nutritional epidemic ever experienced in this country. And you guys have never heard it. And it was 100 years ago. This is the type of thing we're distracted by, all this other stuff. And you made a statement, we don't have to go into any other details, but you made a statement downstairs. Cancer, right? How many years ago was it that they had 3 options?
70 years ago, they had 3 options for treating cancer: surgery, radiology or radiation,
Yep.
and chemotherapy.
Yeah.
Billions of dollars later in research, 70 years to today.
Yeah.
They've got 3 options: surgery, radiation, and chemotherapy. So what's going on?
Yeah. So the next time that you get propositioned to donate to a cancer program, ask them what the program is and ask them what kind of progress they've made. Have you anybody ever heard of the March of Dimes?
Yeah.
Anybody ever heard of that organization?
Oh, yeah.
Do you know that was the Polio Foundation originally? And do you know what happened when polio went away? Pretty much on its own. They'll try and skew it and say that it had to do with the polio vaccine. Polio vaccine came after most of the polio was in decline. Yeah. And it was another one of those nutritional things type that. But when they realized they couldn't collect money on polio anymore, they changed the name to the March of Dimes. And now it had to do with anything that caused, now we can include muscular dystrophy. We can include any types of physical There's a whole bunch of other ones, so ALS and stuff like that. And they bring out the little kids, and your heart breaks for them, but they're using them as just to gather money because you know what? It still exists today.
Speaking of ALS,
Yeah.
and a lot of people don't know this. My father passed away from ALS.
Okay.
And I read a story while we were off.
Mm-hmm.
I read a story about a man in England where they're controlling his ALS with a computer chip they planted in his brain.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
Really?
Yes.
Now, I think there's some merit to some of that dynamics where you can do it, but it's never should be regarded as the end all be all a fix. And I just, I don't know about you guys out there in the audience, but I watch way too much stuff, too many podcasts, listen to too many things out there. I just dive into all that information and I just absorb it. And I'm constantly have my headphones on and I'm working and I'm doing stuff. And I'm listening to this person, I'm listening to that person, and they're talking about all these dynamics. And I love it because there's so many people out there. I love it on this dynamic. There's so many people out there talking about these actual cures, actual good things. And then you contrast that with how suppressed their voices are. I mean, they've just had to, they've just been admitting that all the stuff we said and got censored for and kicked off of YouTube and kicked off of this and that
It was truth.
It was true all along. And yet we were kicked off and banned. I'm still waiting for an apology, which I'll never get. But I mean, they took our main YouTube channel off because I questioned the election.
Yep.
Now we're going to have a congressional investigation into what happened in 2020 and see what's going to come out of it.
I'd like to hear what happened with the Mike Lindell trial that was just going on in Minnesota.
That would be nice to understand. Yeah.
And I knew that kicked off on like Wednesday of last week.
So I pulled the article up here.
Oh, for
the ALS patient.
Okay.
It's called a Neuralink brain implant.
So is it one of Elon's?
I don't know.
If it's Neuralink,
But
that's his products.
But it is. It has allowed him to communicate. So he now can use his thoughts to get his computer to react.
And that's some good applications. That's some good
So he can
purposes of that stuff.
communicate, talk with people,
Yeah.
send messages, that kind of stuff, with thoughts in his head.
Yeah. That's good stuff.
Yeah.
And then work towards a cure. All right, we skipped our disclaimers. Let's do that. Just because
we gotta do that. It wouldn't be a podcast without.
We got to do it.
Well, he did say he was giving me a new one this week.
I am, Larry. Be prepared. Be prepared for the new one. Whoops. I was on disclaimers and it switched. I forget that my button. I got to remember my button now. So I programmed this wall feed button on here to automatically, when I click the wall feed button, to switch to this screen on there and switch to the browser in this computer. Well, if I don't want it on the browser, I want it on the disclaimers. I gotta not do that button.
Okay.
It's bad.
Sounds
Anyways,
complicated.
It is. Well, and you're doing it all the time. All right. Notice this podcast is raw, unfiltered, politically incorrect. We say Merry Christmas, Pledge of Allegiance, especially the part about one nation under God. We thank our troops for their service. Thank you, Larry, and for those in the audience. We only recognize two genders, dangle and no dangle. Check your equipment, as Grandma Connie would say. As adults, we enjoy adult beverages. What are you not drinking?
Yeah.
Cheers. Larry has got a Diet Coke.
I've got a Diet Coke.
Trump would be proud. We cuss, we do not curse or swear. Look up the definitions of that. I get really pissed off. I can say that. Still to this day, when people say, "Oh, pardon my French," that's not French.
Anglo-Saxon.
That's Anglo-Saxon. So when you say "pardon my French," not only are you missing the whole point of what a cuss word is, but you're missing the language dynamics. And it's so infused throughout our entire culture that I hear people saying that, oh, pardon my French. I'm like, French was fornication, urination, defecation. What words do we use in Anglo-Saxon that were not considered bad words? They were appropriate for their culture and their language. And now they become bad words. You know what a bad word to me is? A hate-filled word that you say to a small child. You know what a bad word is to me? An ungrateful word said to somebody who did something for you and you should be thankful. Those are bad words to me. Those are in a different category, but people don't think about that. They zero in on 4 words in the English language, maybe 5. I find the C word much more offensive than I do the other words that I use. I don't use that word. I very rarely, but I do understand that it means can't understand normal thinking. So,
Okay.
you got to turn your screen on, Larry?
Yeah.
We love, continue with our disclaimer here. We love Jesus, but we hate religion and religious. I got to change this. This is the old disclaimer where we just, religious hypocrites. If any of this offends you, please leave. And there we go with that one.
Just get on out.
Get on out. And then I'm going to jump right to Patrick here. Let's see. Go, Patrick. While Larry figures out where the button is. I got you, buddy.
Oh,
I would challenge you to a battle of wits, but I can clearly see that you are unarmed.
Unarmed, no armed.
No arms.
Your no armed man's up there. He's been quiet for a week.
He's missing. Well, actually, a couple weeks.
Weeks.
Took a little time off.
Yeah. Teddy.
Great minds discuss ideas. Average minds discuss events. Small minds discuss people. Eleanor Roosevelt.
Your mom liked that one.
She loved that one because she liked to discuss. That was her mindset. If you gotta rip on people, now people are always involved in events, but if your focus is just that person, that's where the vast majority of the problems come in. You know, the ad hominems, the personal attacks, the vast majority of the logical fallacies out there deal with that attack on the person versus debating their subject. You know, that makes a big deal. Larry, here's your new one for tonight. We've been gone a week or so, so I'm going to give you a brand new one.
All right. Oh, this is a new one. All right. A well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, comma, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed, period. That is the Second Amendment to the United States of America. It was issued on December 15th, 1791, and expires
when you pry it from my cold, dead hands.
Exactly right.
A long habit of not thinking a thing wrong gives it a superficial appearance of being right and raises at first a formidable outcry in defense of custom, but the tumult soon subsides. Time makes more converts than reason. Thomas Paine, Common Sense, 1776, the pamphlet that was the final straw in pushing us into the full-blown Revolutionary War.
Yeah, right. And I do love that word, tumult.
I love you. You
it means
always
a
like
big ruckus.
It does.
Yes.
It's a beautiful word.
The noise, the ruckus.
Exactly. And for all of us here at the table,
Never apologize and never explain. It's a sign of weakness.
And I think that people out here would do well, if you're watching, to understand that apologies do nothing with these monsters.
Exactly right. Thank you, Mr. Crowder, for that. And we'll come back to the table shot and get rid of that shot right there. All right. Disclaimers out of the way. Any other disclaimers? Teddy, do you have any disclaimers that you need, personal disclaimers that you need to do? I mean, are you?
Nope.
You're good to go?
I'm good to go.
We give a shout out to Grandma and Grandpa trying to watch.
If they're watching, if they somehow figured out the YouTube stuff.
I'm behaving myself for Grandma and Grandpa's sake, though. But I've met you, so maybe I don't have to.
I know my brother's watching, and I think
He already chimed in the chat.
Oh, did he?
Yep.
Cool.
Trey, the guitar guy. And you showed me a picture of his guitar. Send me that on Facebook. I'll share it with everybody out there.
Yeah.
That's still up, isn't it? I thought I got rid of it. There we go. Yeah, send me a picture of it on Facebook.
Yeah.
So
right now.
Oh, right now? Okay.
And I'll share it on the show.
Okay.
Send me a picture right now.
I'll tell you what, buddy, it's been an interesting 2 weeks. We had last week off.
Yeah.
And there's been a lot happen in the country in
Well,
the last 2 weeks.
Check the list, Larry, and see if I haven't covered it, and find one that you want to fill us in on. But we did have a terrorist attack at,
Yep.
at a Jewish place. We'll talk about that.
Yep.
We had
The entire family has been arrested.
that's
Yes.
nice.
The entire family.
The entire family.
They don't just have the terrorist.
Yeah.
They went and got his entire family.
Yeah.
Well, who's in charge of that? I love the guy, but what's his name escaping me?
Well,
Charge of who?
The deportations and all that stuff.
Hoffman?
Is that what it is?
Tom Hoffman?
Is it Hoffman? Holman.
Holman.
Holman?
Tom Holman.
someone-
Anyways, they're like, so are you going to break up families when you deport people? He's like, no, we'll grab the whole family and we'll send them all out.
Yeah, there you see.
I was like, yes, that dude's awesome.
Right. And Dan Bongino
Dan Bongino.
is on the job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
And he's doing a wonderful job.
Mr. Epstein killed himself.
Yeah, we disagree with that. You know,
Yeah.
and that's an interesting thing. We're never gonna agree on everything, and that's fine. But what we're looking for is honesty, and so
Yeah.
that's what people have a problem with.
I mean,
you know?
even let's play double advocate here.
Yeah.
All right. Let's say it's true that he killed himself. There is a lot of stuff that was happening around that casts a shadow on that.
Mm-hmm.
So if that's true,
Why did the
How-
cameras go off?
why
Why,
did the
why
cameras
was he
go off?
taken off of suicide watch?
exactly.
Why
Why
did
didn't the what do you want to call him, a watchman, the night guard?
the guards both fell asleep?
Yeah.
They got reprimanded for falling asleep,
Uh-huh.
and his cellmate was removed.
Yes.
And so cameras off, taken off suicide watch.
Uh-huh.
Guards fall asleep.
Yep.
Cellmate removed.
Cellmate removed.
Huh?
Wasn't the camera footage deleted after, or like
Uh,
like accidentally deleted
Something like
it?
that. And here's the fifth thing that is the most compelling. One of the most well-known pathologists in the nation, who is called in to do autopsies in these high-profile things, said there were 3 breaks in his neck, and that cannot happen. Absolutely cannot happen from self-strangulation or self-hanging. It does not work. It's literally, that would be a choking thing, like with a rope that goes around and constricts evenly and would break the bones a certain way. Whereas if you reach your hands in to choke somebody, it's almost impossible for you not to push the thumbs into just below the Adam's apple to cut off the wind. And when those thumbs are pushed in just below that Adam's apple, it causes a certain set of bones in the neck to break in a certain way. And he emphatically came out immediately and said, according to the autopsy, he was strangled. There's no way that he could have choked it. So those 5 factors right there alone,
How did he hang himself? What did he use?
according
Bed
to them,
sheet?
he took his bed sheet, which is pretty much toilet paper, thick. Yeah, it's that's why everybody has a problem, you know. And Senator Kennedy, where's he out of?
Louisiana.
Louisiana. He says, name 3 things that don't hang themselves: Christmas lights, drywall, and Jeffrey Epstein. He said that on the floor, on the house of the floor, or floor house. I love that guy.
Yeah, he's got some good ones. I'll tell you what, he comes up with
Dude,
some
Kennedy,
good Southern
he reminds me of like
stuff.
who's that? Columbo. He reminds me of a Columbo. He's like,
Yeah.
now, look at it. So I just got to ask a couple questions here. just trying to figure this out for myself, just to understand, because I'm not the smartest guy, obviously, up here. But let me ask you. And that's how he leads off with all this stuff, and then he hits him with these things, and you're just like, oh, well, we.
I watched him interviewing a judge candidate that the Biden administration put in front of him,
Okay.
and he looked at the judge candidate and said, the nominee, and said, tell me about Section 5 in the Constitution. The judge says, I don't recall. He said, you don't recall Section 5 of the Constitution? Tell me about Section 2 of the Constitution. Oh, I don't recall that either. It's not coming to mind.
Yeah, he's supposed to be a judge.
This was, yeah, she. Yes, it was a female candidate. If you can't quote the Constitution, you got no business being on the bench.
Yeah.
Correct.
Period.
Correct.
Any bench.
Yeah.
Correct.
Any bench.
How many scripture verses can you quote, Larry?
Scripture.
So, I mean, just in general. Just in general.
None. I never read the Bible.
The print is shut up. The print. All right. So this is
He knows.
this is one of my little ones. Where's my?
How about John 3:16?
That's a good one.
That's a good
That's
one.
a good job, Larry.
Yeah.
So this one right here. Okay. This is one of my little Bibles. This is New King James. All right. See how tiny the print is there. Okay.
I couldn't read it.
This is my pocket Constitution. So the print is bigger in the pocket Constitution, right? The size of this and the size of this, pretty close to the same size. But then look at the thickness. Okay. See that? Now, you're telling me that people can memorize tons of passages out of here. I've got them memorized. A ton of them because you live them, not because I'm trying to just memorize and be that guy. You can't memorize. And this includes the Constitution. It includes the Declaration of Independence. And it's not, I mean, that's not that hard to do.
No.
And you're a judge.
Yeah.
This is your guidebook. This is your foundation. And you can't figure out how to memorize that? Unacceptable. Especially if that's your job. You've got lawyers. I love listening to, I don't know if you guys ever tune into Robert Barnes or Viva Fry. So Viva Fry, Robert Barnes, they get together on Sunday nights. Viva Fry does his show all week long. But they get together and on Sunday nights and they do a law show. Just look up Viva Fry or Viva Barnes on Rumble. Anyways, I love both of them because, especially Barnes, because Robert Barnes will just off the top of his head cite case law. They'll be talking about a subject. Oh yes. And he'll go, yeah. And in that case, so-and-so versus V so-and-so, he's like, in this one. And then there was a line and he starts quoting the law or the statute, which they're violating. I'm like, lawyers that are good are so well-versed in law, they can cite cases. Think of Good Will Hunting in the movie where he's standing in front of the judge and he starts reciting back case law to the judge to get out of his own problems. And the judge finally reprimands. He goes, look, you can read all those cases to me. The fact is you got into a fight and you got in trouble and I'm giving you community service. You know, you're going to go do this. But he was well-versed. And I'm like, dude, you're going to be a judge and you can't discern?
Well,
ridiculous.
They passed on that loser.
Yeah.
Probably didn't.
Probably blocking Trump's stuff right now.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Quoting, amendments out of the Constitution.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. They don't even know what it means.
Right. So what's with the picture of the
this
guitar
is, I'm going to see if my thing will go to, well, I know my button should be working. Let me try to go to it now. Nope. It didn't want to go to it. Let's see. Sorry, guys, for the black screen real quick. Oh. It should show it. I don't know why it's not showing to you guys. I'll come back to our table, our super source. That's weird.
So is the TV screen behind you.
Oh, no, it's right there. Why? Why did that get turned off? Okay. In the program, look at you guys in the studio. See this little eyeball right there?
Yeah.
It was crossed out.
I see. Okay.
I never crossed that out.
Somebody did. They didn't like that eyeball.
Windows.
Yeah. Windows
Update.
shut it off for you. Yeah.
Windows update. Just let's turn that. Just turn that off.
No.
Hey, you know what? Let's take your whole web browser and let's go ahead and change all of your settings and your homepage and all that other stuff and tell you how great the new improvements we've made. And that's the first page you get to open. And you can't find a single one of your bookmarks.
Yep. Or it's just more difficult to navigate.
Good job.
Yeah, my phone updated 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
My phone updated, and I would have ranted about that on the show last week.
Yeah.
But I opened, my phone updated while I was sleeping. I got up the next morning, and it's like, whose phone is this?
Right.
It was completely different. It's still.
And is your battery dying
not the
faster?
same. I haven't noticed.
That'll be one of the updates that comes through when your
Yeah.
battery just dies faster.
Yep, I got that going.
Yep. Anyways, back to this photo, so you guys can see this. Trey is in the chat going on, but this is Teddy's brother. Trey made that guitar from absolute scratch. I mean, he didn't like grow the trees, but he got the raw wood.
Got the raw wood
and made that.
Yep.
Entire acoustic guitar. Did he get to take it home?
Yeah, he took it home and showed me and the family when he was home a couple weeks last week.
Dude, we got to set up a time where he can come and bring it on the show.
Yeah.
How long?
And sit down and talk
How
about it.
long did it take him to make it? Do you know?
Well, he started going to where he's at in March, so 2 months, I think. He probably would clarify.
So he's
that
doing
in the chat.
classes and then he's working on it. It's not working on it for 2 months straight.
He's doing classes while working on that.
Okay, but that's one of his assignments.
That's one of his assignments for the term. I think he just finished his first term where
Okay.
he's at.
Yeah.
That was the first term thing.
Yeah, and you said that's a tailor
They're learning.
authorized.
That's why he's going to where he is because they're one of the few schools that give you Taylor certification.
Okay, so he's going to be certified to be able to make Taylor guitars.
Yes, that's what I meant.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yep.
Yeah, and is Taylor one of the companies that still tries to maintain all their stuff here in the United States?
I could not tell you.
I'll tell you that the guitar industry in and of itself is one of the coolest industries from this dynamic of, well, Larry knows this a little bit, but my guys know this. You walk into a guitar place,
Oh yeah.
and every single guitar says where it's manufactured. So if you're getting a Japanese Fender or a Mexican Fender or an American-made Fender. And obviously the prices reflect in where it's made. And that I could be wrong on all the companies, but the majority of them disclose that where they're made, where they're put together, and it could look like the exact same guitar, but who puts it together can make all the difference in the world.
Yeah.
That's why they've never been able to recreate a
And
true
it's hard.
Stradivarius violin.
It's hard when you walk into a music store and you see all those guitars there.
Uh-huh.
It's hard to pick one because there's a lot of beautiful guitars.
They're gorgeous. I had to. So
Well, you've seen mine.
yeah.
Yeah, both Washburns.
So I've for you guys out there in the audience, I've started to do some solo shows aside from the band. I love my band, but my band is a bunch of working guys. My guitar player, I've told you before, owns a restaurant, and my drummer is a new car sales manager here in town. And my rhythm guitar player, bass player, has a full-time job at the Proving Grounds. And so these guys we're all busy. We're all got life going on. And so if we practice once a week, we're doing good. And then
we're getting into summer here, and some of the things you need to do in the summer is have some fun.
Absolutely. No, but what I'm saying is that it's interesting to get together with them. But listening to them talk about the guitar, so I said, I'm doing a bunch of solo stuff, right?
Yep.
And because the guys can't make everything. And on top of that, there's a lot of venues that want a kind of a lower, more subdued playing. So I played this past Friday over at Wings, etc. Shout out to them, Jim, the owner, and the whole crew there, Tiffany, and I'm going to say it wrong. Dan, John, shit. I know his daughter's Michaela. Anyways, they take care of us there. They're good. You hung out with me.
I hung out
with
you,
them.
yep.
But I said, I can't, my gear didn't work. So I had to take the podcast studio's mixer to that gig. So I broke down and I went and I picked up a brand new little PA, little tower PA. They call them they have a subwoofer on the bottom with a stand on it. If it was lit up down there, I'd show you guys, but it's a mess downstairs because I got all the equipment laying out from that gig. Anyway, so whole point, Larry, is we go over to pick up that tower today from Guitar Center in Southfield. And by the way, Whitmer, you're an asshole because the roads are horrible, and you could have been strategically fixing them the entire time that you've been in office, because you ran on the first time, fix the damn roads, and you didn't do anything. And so now they're fixing every road everywhere all at once and have them all tore up. So anyways, we get over to Guitar Center there in Southfield.
I sent you a meme
On that?
Yeah, it was the manufacturers of the Mars and Moon rovers have decided to use Michigan as a place to test the durability of their equipment because the roads are so bad.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah.
But anyways, talking about the beauty of guitars, we walked into Guitar Center, and I'm there to get that PA equipment, right? And my mother-in-law, who doesn't play guitar, who I'm surprised when I walk in and she's on the treadmill and she's listening to Def Leppard, and I'm like, okay, she's rocking it up. But I'm in there. We walk in and she's like, well, do you need another? She sees an acoustic guitar and she sees another acoustic guitar and she sees another one. She's like, do you need another guitar too? Because she saw that they had 4 or 5 of them up front that were on sale right as you walk in the door. And I picked one up and I strummed on it. And I said, nah, it's that's cool. She's like, oh, I like the color on that one. That one would look good in the man cave. I'm like, I know, but it's got to play well too, Ma. So I played it. I said, no, this plays good. I said, but I'm here for the PA. Let's go down. So while we're waiting for them to find the PA in the back room, I end up messing with the keyboards because I've got a really nice Yamaha keyboard that Larry currently plays more than I do when he comes in for the podcast, even though I strayed him away from that today. But it's a huge Yamaha keyboard, right, with weighted keys. So I found a nice higher end Casio with weighted keys and everything like that. That doesn't weigh much at all. It's still weighted keys. It's still got a great sound to it, but it's something and I bought a gig bag for it so I can carry it to a show, pop it up, sit there and not do it. Because I don't have all of this huge repertoire of songs that I can play. I have a huge repertoire of songs that I can sing. You put just about any song in front of me that I've heard and we do carry, I can sing it. But play it, that's a stretch. So I've got a good 20 acoustic songs that I'm real comfortable with, I can jam out, acoustic guitar wise. But then there's a bunch of them. We play in the band. We play "Come Together." We play "Other Side" by Chili Peppers. We play "Watchtower." So I played those on my bass.
Stranglehold.
I can't do that without the guitar. Half that song is all guitar. But you're right. I do play the bass on that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a really good song,
dude. We'd rock that one out.
Yeah.
Every time we use that.
You know what song I'd like to see your band do?
Tell me, Larry.
Radar Love.
That's a good one. I think we've discussed it.
Radar Love. Yeah.
It's got a good groove to it.
That was a really good song.
In fact, if you guys pay attention and don't always fast forward through the beginning, while
your buddy Jim that recently passed away, he'd have been great on that song.
Oh, he's
with his horn.
Phenomenal. Yeah. If you guys pay attention at the beginning of the show when we open it up and you hear that music, that is a song that I wrote on bass guitar with Jim playing electric guitar, and our buddy Wojo, who we were all together as a band for about 4.5 years. That opening song for this show that's been there for 4 going on 5 years now. That's the song I wrote, and that's the opening for the show. I wrote that on bass.
Who's your buddy that makes Eddie Van Halen look like a beginner?
Tony?
Yeah.
Tony's phenomenal.
That guy's guitar melts when he plays it. I swear.
Dude, he's been here and doing stuff, and I just go, Tony, do Eruption. And he's like, oh, man. All right. he just goes nuts on it. I'm like, dude, yeah, he is. I'll tell you what, between the difference between Tom Brady and Tony is just the amount of playing that Tony has done as far as on stage. Tommy is equally, and in some respects, they have their own dynamics those are my two guys. They're phenomenal guitar players. And of course, Tommy's my bandmate. So, but I've jammed with Tony. We've written multiple songs that have never been published, and they're sitting in the computer, and I need that. But anyway, so going back to it, that's a beautiful guitar that your brother made. And we saw some beautiful guitars today, and they were so beautiful that I had to undistract Weapons of Mass Destruction. I had to undistract my mother-in-law because she was like, well, do you need one of these? So she settled. She's like, well, I'll get you that keyboard. I'm like, okay, Mom. I mean, I'm content with hauling the keyboard. I needed the PA today.
By the way, that does look like, when you glance at it,
Does look like destruction.
mass destruction.
Well, that's why they did it.
Yeah.
That's how that phrase came about, was weapons of mass destruction. And now it's been coined. I was trying to look up here's the quote for tonight. And it was unknown. I couldn't find out who the author was. I was asking these guys to help me. It says, every great waste of time begins with a small distraction. Mm-hmm. And I see so much waste of time with these distractions, and they're weapons of mass distraction.
Yes. They're masters of it. The Democrats are masters of it.
Oh, yeah.
They've been doing it for a long time, ever since Trump came down the elevator, and Russiagate, and the list goes on.
If I give you a half truth, if I give you a partial story,
there was nothing true about that. There was no half truths about that.
Were all you guys Trump supporters from the beginning, or did you come from like a different campaign? And
it took me 2 weeks.
Took you 2 weeks?
Mm-hmm.
Because I remember that night when Trump came down the escalator.
Yeah.
Right. And I was working with my good friend Vicky Fike on the Livingston County for Ted Cruz campaign.
Oh.
And I'm sitting on the couch with my wife. Trump hits the escalator, and my wife looks, and my wife does not like Donald Trump. Not even a little bit. Right. And I saw Trump coming down the escalator. I looked at my wife, and I said, that is our next president. She looked at me, made a funny face, and said, it better not be. She still to this day doesn't like Donald Trump. But if you asked her, she would say he's the best president we've ever had. I voted for him every time that he's ran for office.
Right.
What doesn't she like about him? His comment about grabbing women by the...
Oh, no, that made her laugh.
Okay.
She was sitting right next to me when that debuted. When that came out, and it was this big bomb story, she looked at me and she said, what man didn't say something like that?
True.
Well, I mean, she's...
And I looked at her and I said, a gay one.
I mean, she is married to you, Larry, so if she's got a problem with guys being crude about...
My wife does have a sense of humor. As a matter of fact, that's one of the things she was talking about. We were talking with some friends, and she said what she liked, and that was one of the top three, my ability to make her laugh.
I'm getting clarification over here from Big K that he attends Lutheran school at the Gallup Guitars.
Yeah, Gallup Guitars.
Okay, all right. Yeah, they said earlier Trey's guitar with the two big.
Does he play guitar too?
Yeah, he plays guitar. He brought his guitar over here one time.
He did. He's really good. Really good.
Hmm.
You know, I should. You know what?
He should.
Well, he's off at college though.
Well, he comes back like some weekends and all that, like Friday, Saturday.
I know, but I got all these solo gigs where he could be. It could be the two guitar.
Does he play electric guitar too, or
plays acoustic, electric?
Mm-hmm.
He has like, I don't even know how many guitars he has home. He has like a whole bunch. It's like every couple weeks.
Oh,
he comes
luthier.
Luthier.
Not Luther, like Lutheran.
Yeah.
Luthier.
I said that, and
Lutheran.
someone's like, "Oh, he's a Lutheran. He's going to Lutheran school. Is he
Like
going to be a
luthier.
priest?"
Did I say it wrong or did I just slur? Because I haven't had that much to drink yet. Yeah.
Not a lot of money in your gigs, though.
Yeah.
There's a saying. What person crams $5,000 worth of equipment into a $500 car to drive 50 miles to make $50? A musician.
Exactly.
That's true.
I remember Metallica, and they've gotten lambasted for some of the stupid shit that they've done, protesting people downloading songs. I'm like, they're downloading your songs because they like you. You're making money off of concerts, so let them download your shit and stop acting like that. They listen to the radio for free. Mm-hmm. Why can't they download a song for free from somebody else who bought the song? I just, what are you doing? I did say it wrong. It's okay. I'm getting a pass from the audience. But anyway, so, one of the things that they would talk about is when they were first going out there, he said they were living out of their van, and they were so poor that if they could afford like a thing of bologna, they couldn't even afford the bread. And so they would put the bologna on their hand, and they called it a hand sandwich because it wasn't a ham. It didn't have bread, and it was just that piece of bologna. And so it was a hand sandwich versus a ham sandwich. And I was like, that's how poor they are. But you know what? I'll give it to those guys. Those guys grounded out. And that's what most musicians do. But you're right. It's like you're going over and if you calculated up all the equipment that I have down there, tens of thousands of dollars in equipment.
Including for this podcast.
Including for this, I was calculating. My buddy called me earlier today, and he asked me. He says, "You know what? I'm thinking about." He does construction. He was my foreman for about 2 years, and he said he's back down in Indiana. And he said, "I'm thinking about maybe doing a podcast, maybe starting it up next year, and just talking about construction." He's pretty involved in his community. He's actually hooked up with the community. I don't know if it was Chambers of Commerce or something like that, but he's going one house at a time now. One of his crews is rehabbing houses throughout the community. And then the community helps somebody to get that house. They help them get in that house. So they rehab the house, and then they get somebody in the community that's really in need of housing in there, help them get a loan, help them do all that other stuff, good stuff. And he said, I'm thinking about doing a podcast. He's like, so what would it take to really set up a podcast studio in my office? And I walked him through a whole bunch of stuff, and I came back to it, and we kind of decided on. I threw a bunch of options out there, and I said to really get a good podcast with 2 to 3 cameras and a good solid computer that's not going to break down on you, that's going to do this. I said, to start out, you're probably $3,000 to $5,000. Uh-huh. And I described the equipment that I had. I said, now you go through my equipment, and the 5 years I've been doing this, I've spent roughly about $30,000 over the last 5 years in gear, and people don't get that.
I get that. I get that. I see.
You're playing with the cameras, and so am I, Larry.
Yeah.
These 4 cameras alone. Now I got a good deal on them, but these 4 cameras alone are $1,500.
Right.
Let alone these little cameras, and then you don't factor in this tablet was $300. This tablet was $200. That laptop was $500. Mm-hmm. That computer over there that's running over there was a $1,500 gaming tower. And then there's 6 screens on there. There's this big screen. There's this big screen. Mm-hmm. Then there's all the podcasts, all the gear we got on.
Stuff. Yeah.
There's 5 lapels that are up here. Those are $300 for the lapel and the receiver.
But the most expensive thing of the entire podcast is this finely crafted table. It took hours and hours of a very, very skilled carpenter to put this together.
Give me the overhead shot, Larry. Give me overhead. You got it?
I don't do. Oh, is it over?
Yeah, overhead. So what Patrick's pointing out is this table is reclaimed wood out of a house that I helped demo. And once I found out that the house had all of this beautiful wood in it, we lined up the trailer to come and pull all this wood. And so, yes, this table that we're sitting at today, me and my son Taylor and a couple other people, I have video of actually of Bubby doing some sanding. We built this table, and it's the long table. It used to be downstairs when we originally started, and it was a foot taller, and we used stools, and we had different microphones. So
you've gone through a lot of microphones. You also have those ones with the cranes on them.
Yep.
There's the shorter ones.
You find the typical podcast studio has those those microphones, on a boom that come over. That's the typical look with the headphones. Honestly, I can't do the headphones. The only time I can really do the headphones is when I'm doing audio editing.
Yeah.
But other than the audio editing, it's very hard for me to wear the big, they call them cans, studio cans. My head, you guys, especially up here right now, it's 90 degrees outside.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh.
It's toasty in here. I got the fan going and the air conditioning going, but we're literally right here with the roof. I mean, there's 7 inches between us and the sun, and I've got insulation in there, but it's
Metal roof up there, right?
well, and I don't have the furnace moved to the new location. There's going to be 2 ducts blowing in here and then 1 cold air return that's pulling the heat off the ceiling. I just don't have that done yet.
Yeah.
And when I do, it'll pull a lot of this heat and get the cool air going. But right now, would you guys want to be in those big can headphones?
No.
Hell no. So there's a lot that goes
I
into
wear a
it.
headset all day at work because I drive a truck.
Right. Is it a 1 ear or 2?
Yes, 1.
That makes a difference.
Yeah.
That's why you only like 1 earbud.
Mm-hmm. Well, I don't like having both my earbuds in on the podcast. I just don't.
You know what? When I started doing, when we started doing the band, and I switched this over to in-ears for monitors, there's 6 speakers in the back room, back in the back bathroom on the one shelf. I used to have stage monitors. I had 4 stage monitors out there, and the sound in here. You remember when I had the stage monitors? There was so much sound in here. It was like loud. And I tried to dial everything in and try to keep, get it to a minimum. That's why we have a decibel meter in here.
Yeah.
But when I switch from the stage monitors to these in-ear headphones that I use, these are actually my stage headphones that I'm using tonight because my other set, one of them broke. The little thing broke. Once I switched to this, my voice, I was no longer straining my voice to try and hear myself. And it balanced out the sound so much better. But then the hearing. Now, Chicago, that you mentioned, Larry, my saxophone player, he would do the 1 ear in, 1 ear out. I've tried to do it, and the minute I do that, it's out of balance for me. I need to hear that stereo dynamic, and because, well, I guess it comes down to you're just hearing for the sake of hearing what's going on. I'm trying to listen intently to make sure if your microphone's low or your microphone's, if somebody's doing something or whatever's going on, I'm listening for a different dynamic than you guys are. You're just listening to listen. I'm listening because I'm also controlling the mixer for the audio. So I kind of need to be exclusive on hearing it versus just casually hearing it. Makes a little difference. Anyways, that's some insight for you guys out there in podcasting and stuff like that. It's a lot of fun. Some good chat out there. You're right, Dale. Windows XP was one of the best systems. There's actually some Linux versions out there. I get updates on this. There's some Linux versions that are that have a, what do they call it? Emulator. They emulate Windows XP and create a very, very solid foundation. What do you call that? Solid platform.
I just got an emulator off of Chrome, Nintendo emulator.
Okay.
And I got, the old GameCube. So me and my buddies are playing Mario Party 6 like all night.
Nice.
So yeah, it was great. Because you could just, if you get I can just plug in my Xbox controller in my PC box.
Okay.
And just load up the emulator, and then there's a server that's made for me and my 3 other buddies.
Right.
And then you can just play Mario Party like on the GameCube. All you gotta do is just configure your control buttons and all that to how the GameCube would be.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah, it is pretty cool. Dolphin emulator. If anyone wants to play like old Nintendo, like GameCube or DS stuff or Wii,
okay,
good emulator.
Speaking of video games, I finished Zelda Breath of the Wild.
Is that the new one?
No,
Breath of the Wild's old.
Yeah,
Old.
The new one is Kingdom of Tears.
Yeah.
What was Breath of the Wild? What platform was that on?
That's on Switch.
Nintendo Switch?
Yeah, okay. And for Father's Day, we had Father's Day this weekend because my daughter moved to Florida. So They got me the new
Which
Zelda, yeah, Kingdom of Tears.
Okay, I haven't even heard that one.
So
I lost. I'll tell you what. Go ahead.
Tomorrow,
Yeah.
tomorrow the Nintendo Switch 2 comes out.
Ooh, I'm sure I'll hear about it from my grandson.
$450.
There's a Switch case right there.
It's not even the worst part about it. $80 Mario Kart game.
Yeah. Yeah, they paid $70 for Zelda Kingdom of Tears.
Yeah, but that game came out a couple years ago. But I hear with the new Nintendo Switch 2, if you want to even have a tutorial for it, you have to pay money for like a tutorial on how to use the Switch 2. And then they have the Mario Kart game. If you ever play like the old Mario Kart on the Wii?
Yeah.
No, not on the Wii.
Oh,
I never had the Nintendo Wii.
It's it's a kart game. You just steer the cart around. You get power ups. You hit the other people, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like,
I mean, why not?
15. I don't know how much it was like in 08, but be like reasonable, like $15 or something like that.
It was,
but it's like that, but like a little bit better graphics, a little bit shinier graphics. But they want $80 for it. It's not like a big Zelda game where it's like you can play for like hours and hours on end, like doing the story. You just go. There's like a few maps. Just race around 3 times and get the power ups from the cube. And they want $80 for it. It's
like a better graphic version of Road Rash from the first PlayStation.
Yeah.
You're just driving. Remember when he had the chain and the guy come up beside you, you could just hit him with a chain?
I loved Road Rash, yeah.
Dude, do you know why? Because the soundtrack in it was so badass.
Yes.
That Soundgarden soundtrack, when you hit the game right when it opened up, yeah, that was great.
Yeah, Road Rash was a good game.
Yeah.
I had all the Nintendo stuff back then, and I had the Game Genie. Do you remember the Game Genie?
Yeah.
Allowed you to cheat.
Remember when the Sega Genesis came out after the Sega?
Yeah, I had that too. It was probably 8 years ago. Yeah, when we were doing the construction, putting the addition on my house. So 9 years ago. My wife said, "What are you gonna do with all these games?" I had Nintendo, Super Nintendo, Genesis, and the Xbox. I had them all, and a ton of games. And I just took them into GameStop.
What?
Yeah.
Larry, you could have sold that shit in a rummage sale for buku.
8 years ago?
Buku.
I remember.
Dude, I had an original Atari that my buddy gave to me.
Yeah.
Had it sitting inside in the box with Asteroids and one other game that it came with, all the original equipment. He gave it to me he's like, "I love you, man. I want you to have this." I was like, "Sweet." Tony, my buddy, it's one of the one times I wanted to beat him up. Somehow ended up outside and sold it for like $20 in a rummage sale.
Yeah.
It was worth about $500 at the time.
Oh man.
Oh Lord.
Oh boy. Atari, original in the box.
Yeah, dude, they had some cool games.
Yeah.
Do you remember a video game, like an arcade video game? Journey Escape. Do you remember that?
Sounds familiar.
Where you played the different band members and went through space.
Oh, Journey.
Yeah, Journey.
Okay, all right. Now that makes sense that you would be attracted to that one.
Yeah,
If the people out there don't know, full disclaimer, Larry loves the band Journey. And anything that has to do with Journey, that's what Larry loves.
They are a good band.
That's what Larry loves.
There's other bands I like too.
Journey is who Larry loves. So Journey Escape. I was into Tron back then when we would go to the arcades.
Yeah, I remember that game.
Yeah,
that was a
the
good
Tron game. The Tron game at the time of the Tron movie. The Tron game, if I'm not mistaken, and people can fact check me, the Tron game in the arcades made more money than the movie initially.
Yes. I didn't like the movie.
I love the movie. I thought Jeff Bridges was phenomenal.
Aren't they making another one?
They're making a third one now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Tron Legacy, I thought was incredible. And again, it was doomed by when it was released and how they did it.
Yep.
You know?
And the series I've been watching, so I've been watching a bunch of commotion on Facebook and people ranting about a Hulu series called The Handwife's Tale. So Handmaid's Tale. I apologize. The Handmaid's Tale. And so me and my wife power watched the first 5 seasons. And then we this year watched the end of the season. So we started this, I think, in February or March, because I'd seen so much people ranting about how it was an insult to Christianity, and they were targeting Christians and they were insulting Christians. And so I wanted to see what all the commotion was about. And we signed up to Hulu and watched it.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually saw no Christianity in it, other than they would say things like, blessed be. And they would say things like, under his eye. And they referred to God all the time, but that's not limited to Christianity.
Correct.
Right.
Didn't say it in
as
scripture.
far as everything else that I saw
in
the movie, I saw Islam.
Mm-hmm.
I saw
a lot of control.
Control. A wife holding a woman down so a man could rape her. Okay, that's not Christianity, right?
To say the least.
Yeah. I mean that's and I watched it, and it's about the struggles of the handmaids,
mm-hmm.
and it takes place in the future. There's a war, and this nation of Gilead defeats the United States, and the United States becomes Gilead, except for the fringe around the United States, parts of Michigan up near Canada, and then Canada, around the edges along the water and down into the bases of Florida is all still the United States, but the rest of the country has become this Gilead, and it's about the struggles of these women, and women wear different colors. The color of red, which is the color of blood, those are the handmaids, right? And their purpose is breeding. That's it. And then there's the Marthas, and they're like the maids in the house, right? And then you have the aunts, and the aunts are like the women that are in charge of all the women.
Mm-hmm.
They're the trainers, the teachers, they dish out all the punishments. And, there's stonings in it, and
so like nuns, right?
Like nuns. No, there's no nuns on this level, trust me. But they stone people, they gouge out your eye if you don't follow the rules, or if a woman was to pick up this and read it, they'd chop her finger off the first time, her hand off the second.
For reading.
So yeah, there was actually nothing I saw that was had to do with Christianity, and the closing episode was absolutely horrible. The episodes leading up to it were good, and to the last episode was good because Gilead started to fall.
Okay.
But the United States came in and launched an attack as they were trying to kill the main character. They had actually hung her from a crane.
Do you remember the cranes? What size crane it was?
It was a 25 ton.
That's what I want to know.
It was a pretty small one.
Pretty small crane.
Yeah.
It doesn't take much. So do you feel that TV series is a weapon of mass distraction? Or distortion?
It's a distortion. Like I said, I saw nothing even closely resembling Christianity.
Was there anything redeemable about it?
Other than a totalitarian tyrants falling. I mean, it was, the suffering of the women was hideous.
Right.
I mean, it really was. And you had to sympathize with June Osborne, the lead character,
mm-hmm.
because with her mission was all about getting her daughter back.
Okay.
Because in the opening episode, it starts out with her running in the woods, her and her husband and her daughter running in the woods, and Gilead doesn't recognize her marriage to her husband because he was married previously and committed adultery with June, left his wife and married June.
Okay.
So Gilead didn't recognize their marriage, so they split him up, took him to different areas. He got exiled to Canada. He escaped and got to Canada, and she went to be a handmaid, and the daughter was taken and given to a family to raise. And you know, the whole series, all 6 seasons, was all about June trying to get her daughter back and get her freedom, but her number one focus was her daughter.
Okay.
And in the end, she didn't get her daughter.
She didn't?
But she couldn't. You know,
spoiler alert for those of you trying to watch this abomination of a show that Larry's all up on.
Yeah. Because there's a second book called The Testaments, which they're filming that now, and that's supposed to come out pretty soon.
That's when the daughter's going to come into fruition.
It's going to be interesting. That takes place 15 years after The Handmaid's Tale ends. So, and I can't remember, Margaret Atwater is the author.
Okay.
And all of it was filmed in Toronto. And the star is June Osborne, her real name is Elizabeth. I'll think of her last name.
Hugh?
No, but she was the and I love this movie. Girl
Teddy's
Interrupted.
Girl Interrupted had 3 main people. Apocalypse Now. That's the hell. I can see all their faces.
Yeah, I can see all their faces too.
Apocalypse Now, the shoplifter, and
yes,
the shoplifter is
and the dead girl, the girl that died.
Yes,
from a cough medicine overdose or something.
It was more than that.
Yeah, but
yes.
But the actress that plays June Osborne, if you remember Girl Interrupted, you remember the
Angelina Jolie's Apocalypse Now.
Yes.
She's got the big apocalypse.
Yeah.
And a Beetlejuice chick.
Yes. I can't think of her name. Yep. Yep. But this is the
Spock's
girl.
mom.
This is the girl that played the. Yes, it was Spock's mom. Yes, I forgot about that. I completely forgot about that. She was Spock's mom. Yes. But the girl that played June Osborne is the girl that played the burned girl. Do you remember the burned girl in Girl Interrupted? The younger girl that was in the institution, always had a teddy bear, and she was burned all over.
Winona Ryder, shoplifter.
Yes.
Angelina Jolie, Apocalypse Now.
Yes.
And Brittany Murphy. Brittany Murphy died of some horrible stuff. I've watched a few documentaries on her.
Did you?
Yeah.
She was a beautiful girl.
Beautiful girl. And she devolved into, and then her boyfriend that was implicated in that died shortly after. All right, let's shift gears into some news.
Current events,
some news. Yeah. Let's look at this stuff over here. Let's see what's going on here. Alex Jones responds to the Palantir hysteria and lays out what's really happening. Have you guys heard anything about Palantir?
I have not.
All right. So the Trump administration has expanded Palantir's work with the government, spreading the company's technology, which could easily merge data on Americans without agency. So he's talking about it here in the video. You guys can look that up. General Flynn's talking on there. But here's the whole point of this. So Palantir is this data collection, organization. Trump has to this point enlisted them, and this guy's one of these. He's another one of these. So here's the problem that we're dealing with: is Trump in the first administration, the first term, didn't know who the true deep state players were, and didn't get him out of his immediate inner circle. And so they blocked a lot of his agendas. They would take executive orders, tear them up. This is part of the reason. So some of you out there, if you want to know why Trump at this point is doing almost every single one of his executive orders on camera as a kind of a fireside chat on steroids.
Auto pen?
No,
Because-
he's signing every one of them. Do you know why he's doing all of them, or almost all of them, on TV
Well,
live?
yeah,
Is
disclosure
because
documents it.
he would do executive orders in the first term, hand them to his subordinates. They would take them out and tear them up. And if he didn't see it fully implemented, he wouldn't know why for months that it didn't get implemented. And when he went back to find out why his executive order was not followed, well, Mr. President, we never received that. And then he would try to figure out who tore it up, and they would do the shell game and lie to him about where it ended up. Well, Mr. President, it must have got shuffled and it didn't get delivered. So the number one reason why Trump is doing all of his executive orders on TV every time he does them, and doing these multiple press conferences all the time, and calling out the press at the same time, and calling out his opponents at the same time, is because he got so shafted in the first term that he's not going to let that happen again.
Oh yeah, he got shafted big time the first
Huge.
term.
Do you remember all the leaks in his first term? It was ridiculous.
Yeah.
Not only that, the fucking Comey gets up there and says, "Yeah, well, I leaked it." No repercussions. No, nothing.
Mhm.
He goes, "Yeah, well, I leaked it." Dude, you treasonous little bastard.
Yeah.
Now you're gonna put
He should've been-
8647
yeah.
on the rocks on the beach?
Well, Gretchen Whitmer did that too.
She did.
In her office. Yeah.
Yeah. And if they'd done that to a Democrat, they would have been deep sixed already.
Well, see, I mean, here's the thing is, I mean, we have sat, right? They tried to impeach him twice. They
Mhm.
launched a fake investigation. They paid $5 million, the Clinton campaign did, for a fake dossier, which they conspired with a Russian spy.
Right. The famous Steele dossier.
Right. But we have watched Trump. They have lied about him. They've tried to impeach him twice. Let's see. What else have they done? They tried to throw him off the ballot.
Fannie
tried to
Willis.
put him in prison 4 different times.
Yeah.
They tried to assassinate him twice.
Right. And Fannie, what you just said, Fannie,
Yeah.
this bitch is over there forging her own mortgage things,
Yeah.
and then going after Trump for
Yeah.
just nothing
it.
wrong.
Well,
He
who did
said,
that?
"Here's the
Wait a
amount.
minute,
Here's
the
what we believe
mortgage
this is
thing.
worth."
Who actually put their name on bank records and listed their father as their husband?
Is that Fannie? Was that Fannie or was that
Letitia.
Letitia?
I think it was
James.
Letitia James that did all that stuff, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Fannie?
it was Letitia James.
Letitia.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure I was clear on that because I thought it was Letitia James that did all the
Letitia.
mortgage fraud.
Am I saying that right? I feel like I'm not saying that right. Letitia shithead James. I'm not. I feel like I'm not saying that right. Letitia shithead James. It doesn't. Does it flow? Does it flow like it's the right? It doesn't seem like it's right, does it? I apologize for mispronouncing that. Letitia shithead. It just doesn't feel right to me, and I apologize to the audience out there. And I'm trying to change.
Jeremy's a little tongue-tied tonight.
I am. I was just trying to articulate properly how I felt about the situation. Letitia shithead. Anyway, so we're good. But looking at the Palantir, I look at this, and so people on our side of the table that are very conservative, we have this extreme aversion to anybody that has had any ties to the deep state or to the elites, to anything. And so the minute that somebody like a guy that runs Palantir is tapped by Trump to do something, we have an aversion, and rightly so, because we watched Trump be waylaid and stunted and opposed, and
From the inside.
in his first term. What I think Alex Jones laid out and what I've looked at is, as long as Trump is aware of that guy and says, "I just want you to document all these illegals here, profile them, catalog them, so that we can get them out of here." The minute it switches over and they start to profile any of us as citizens, that's when we have a problem. If you look at Elon, 4 years before, 3 years before he comes over to Trump's side, you look at RFK Jr., RFK Jr. has always been a strong advocate of health.
Yeah.
But a lot of the other issues that he had, they were very Democrat. I wouldn't even call him a leftist Democrat, but he was definitely.
No, he's very moderate.
He was very moderate. He's what we would call now a true
The Democrat from
Kennedy.
Yes, right.
True Kennedy Democrat.
Right.
The Democrats of the 60s, government was corrupt on both sides of the table, and always has been and always will be. But when you had a Kennedy Democrat, you had somebody that was believed in. What did JFK work at? He worked at peace with the Russians. He worked at
Picking up hookers?
Well, no, he didn't have to pick him up. The Secret Service brought him to him.
Oh, sorry.
That's true. But he worked at ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country. Who started the Peace Corps? Was that Kennedy or was that one of the other presidents?
I don't have any idea.
Anyways, Kennedy, if you look at his record today in contrast to the 3 years he was in office, and you compare it to Bush Sr. or Bush Jr., Kennedy was almost more conservative in his agendas and his approach than definitely on war.
Yeah.
Kennedy was all for ending Vietnam, ending war, making peace with the Russians, doing. He wanted to do the space race, the fake space race, with the Russians versus in competition with them. All that shit gets muddled and mixed around, and that's the dynamics we're looking at nowadays. And so I look at this guy in Palantir and I go, yes, it raises a red flag. But until he actually does something that crosses the line, just like Elon, just like RFK, just like a lot of these other guys, I'm going to give him a benefit. Until that point, I'm going to keep my eye on him, right?
Yep.
Because you can't ultimately get rid of everybody. And you even watch right now, Facebook.
Yes, you can. Trump can deport them.
I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about so on Facebook, right? You watch Jeff Bezos, you watched Fakebook, little robot, what's his fucking name? Zuckerberg. I love that way that
hey, you leave Fuckerberg alone.
I love Zuckerberg. That's the way that the guy on trial has always referred to him. Mike.
Since Trump got elected, excuse me, yeah, pretty much since Trump got elected.
Yeah.
Since November, I have not been suspended from Facebook one single time. I haven't got.
And that's what I'm saying.
I haven't got one violation.
Correct.
I used to get suspended like 1 year when Obama was president. I spent over 200 days in Facebook jail.
You used to go out of your way to get suspended, Larry.
They're ridiculous. I got a 30-day suspension because some lady on Alyssa Slotkin's page said to me, "I'm not talking to you," and I said one word back to her. One word. Coward.
Oh, you were
Yes.
being what do they call that?
Coward.
Being an online bully.
Oh. So I got 30 days for
just like us being censored when we say Scissor Sisters when we're talking about Benson and
Oh, I got some good Benson stuff coming up in the lightning round.
All right, so you guys understand that I'm watching this very intently, the same way that we brought up at the beginning of the show. Your what did you say? Your relative?
Huh?
Did you say your relative talking about the ALS and they're able to speak?
Or
was that just a story?
That was the story. It wasn't my relative. It was
Anyways,
somebody with ALS and
Neuralink's helped them, right?
Yes.
When Elon came out with Neuralink, initially, why aren't you sticking a fucking computer chip in me? But I do have a couple friends that have electrodes and stuff like that in their body to help them function because they have had massive injuries. Okay, on some levels that helps. Do I want to become the next T-1000 and say, give me your boots, your hat, and your clothes, or I'll kill you?
You have been terminated.
I'm going to kill you anyways. Just give me your stuff.
Easier this way.
It's easier if you comply. It's less blood on me, less blood on the clothes. Wash day, right? Wash day, right? Anyways, so there's all sorts of people out there that you reach a certain level in the world where you go with the flow. And I watch a lot of these guys going with the flow. What I like to see is what Trump's doing behind the scenes. Now, Teddy, I want to dive into some of your stuff as we got a little bit more time tonight, but there's some things that the Trump administration is doing right now that raises some red flags for a lot of us. But is that the art of the deal, where you give a little to get a lot?
Yeah.
Is that, or is he being blindsided, or is he capitulating? Trump has never displayed or never proclaimed himself as a conservative. He's never portrayed himself as a Democrat. He gave to both sides, and he worked the art of the deal, and he wants ultimately, at the end of the day, to do what's best for America. To do what's best for America means that sometimes we got to go through hardship. If I want to do what's best for me, I might have to take out a loan, and I might have to grind and do 80 hours worth of work in order to get that loan partially paid off. But having that loan bought me the equipment that I needed in order for me to get out there and grind it out. And then at the end of it, so do I blame the loan company for giving me the loan at an interest rate and bitch about it? I'm being hypothetical. What I'm saying is, in the art of a deal, think about this. In the first term, what did Trump do that pissed off all of us here at the table?
Operation Warp Speed.
That's one. And he's learned from that. Not completely, but there's some shit, and I want to hear your thoughts. The one I was thinking of was the guns. The Democrats said, we want red flag, we want this, we want this. And Trump came out and he says, okay, we can do red flags. Let's sit down and talk.
He's trying to get him to the table.
He got him to the table, and they said, we want all guns throughout the United States confiscated and made illegal for anybody to own them. And he said, that's not going to happen. And the deal fell through.
If I may say one thing in relation to that, the Supreme Court, with 3 justices that Trump picked in his first term, refused to hear a case about assault weapon bans in Maryland and I think Rhode Island or Connecticut, one of those states.
Correct. Yeah.
So,
but they did rule on the bump stocks.
Yes.
And they got the bump stocks, that whole making bump stocks illegal, removed. And
yes,
they're working on the silencers too.
And Trump did that as well. And that was the bump stock ban was Trump, and he was wrong for that. And as somebody that knows firearms, I'll tell you, the bump stock is the biggest waste of money you'll ever spend.
It's
you can't
stupid as
spray shit everywhere. I mean,
it's stupid.
That's all it does.
Bump stocks are ridiculous.
Yeah, it's just stupid. You can't keep it on target because instead of making what it does is it bounces the firearm on your finger. So you pull it and it just goes da, 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 da. You hold your finger still.
But you don't understand, to the uninformed urbanite, it's a machine gun, and machine guns are scary.
Correct.
Yeah,
it's a gun that fires fast.
Yeah.
Well, and that's the problem is they don't even understand. Listen, I don't want a bump stock. If I want to do something, I'll get a binary trigger on my AR. And a binary trigger is much better. And Al was just telling me about there's another trigger right now that's not binary, and it's not anything to do with stupid bump stocks, because bump stock's stupid. I mean, so in our audience, I don't think our audience is unaware, but if there's somebody out there listening to us, one of you lefties that's going to pull a clip, that's fine. Make sure you archive it and send us a link, because we want to make sure we profile it, because every time you pull a clip from our show, we get more ratings. So thank you. But anyways, so bump stock is literally when you fire the weapon, the stock recoils. You're going to have that where the gun as it's firing recoils
back and forth. How are you supposed to be accurate?
It's not accurate. That's the whole point. Whereas a binary trigger, a binary trigger is just as simple as when I pull the trigger forward, it fires around. When I release the trigger, it fires around. That's what it means by binary, right? So some of you leftists out there that are still slightly confused, think of bisexual, meaning you go both ways. All right. So this is the way that a trigger word works. Binary is it's bi, right? So it fires, you release it, it fires. You pull it, it fires. You release it, it fires. It's bi. So think of your AR being bisexual.
By the way, I would like to take this time,
Yeah.
since you're talking about bisexuals,
Oh God.
I would like to take this time to remind everybody that June is Groomer Awareness Month. So inform your children of the dangers of the LGBTQ extremists
Groomers.
who want to groom them.
They want to groom your children.
So keep your children safe.
Do we have
know ahead of time?
Do we have the
there's
video?
Predators out there.
Do we have the video from the San Francisco Choir from a few years back?
We're coming for your
We're coming for your children. You
And
can
half,
try to fight it, but we're gonna convert them.
half of them were on the sexual offender list or had sexual offenses.
Yeah.
On that choir. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Yep.
I thought it was 2/3.
Probably something in that ballpark.
2/3 of them in that choir were on the sexual offenders list. Most of the what do you call it? The dancers, the drag queens.
Yep.
That do the drag queens, not drag queens, but most of the drag queens that do the drag queen story times for children are convicted pedophiles. Let that sink in the midst of Groomer Awareness Month. We give our veterans 1 day, but we give
The groomers
a whole month.
I saw a post earlier today about it being June being Veteran Appreciation Month. So happy Veteran Appreciation Month to Larry.
Yeah.
Appreciate your
we
service.
need to change that. We changed the name of the Gulf of Mexico to a Gulf of America. Let's change
Exactly.
this.
But it's going to be interesting to see this time around this year, seeing how many of the Fortune 500 companies have changed their profile photos to rainbows or whatever else is on that.
They don't want to be dealing with the Terrence Mulvaney thing, with Bud Light.
John Bovey's saying that we need to watch Nick Fuentes on Palantir, Evil Company to the Core. I don't doubt that, but I look at it from a standpoint of Trump once you figure out Trump, and I'm just saying that like that once you figure out Trump and you understand what he's doing, once you figure out what he's doing, okay, then you understand how he's operating and his motives. Okay. Can you use an evil company to bring about good things if you watch them close enough? Absolutely. Can you get a Mark Zuckerberg to walk into the Oval Office now that Trump's in power and go, Mr. President, we won't censure Larry anymore because we know he's trying to piss off a bunch of lefties, but we'll stop banning Larry, even though he says inflammatory things to the leftists, which are not inflammatory, but are offensive to them because they're ready to be offended at any given moment.
Right.
We will not ban Larry anymore, Mr. President. And that's literally what Zuckerberg walked in and did. Okay.
Yeah.
Jeff Bezos has had to walk in. There's multiple companies that have had to walk in. And I think it's awesome. Every time Trump says something along the lines of, oh, he's a great guy, come up here, say a few words. And all of us look at it and go, that guy's a piece of shit.
Yeah.
But Trump is ingratiating himself with that guy. So if that guy does something outside of what Trump has negotiated with him to do, you know what Trump can do? He can go, I told everybody you were a good guy, and now you've done this? Unacceptable.
Unbelievable.
And I watched Trump do this. And you go, wow, dude.
Well, he isn't pulling punches. Look what he did with the president of South Africa.
Dude.
Yeah.
And if you go back, hey, listen, I would challenge everybody, go back and watch that whole press conference with the president of South Africa. He did the exact thing that he's good at. He met with him beforehand. They discussed a bunch of stuff. They agreed on it. Same way that he agreed with Zelensky, and then Zelensky walked out and goes, I don't agree. I'm not going to stand this. And he goes, look, you little shithead, you don't have the cards. You don't have the cards. And he goes, what do you mean we not play cards? He's like, don't act stupid. Don't act it. And he even lets Vance just go at him. Yeah. And you're like, wow, dude, he tore him up. But they had a meeting beforehand, behind closed doors, and they hammered out everything they were going to talk about. And then that little prick walks out there in front of the cameras And because he met with the Democrats before that, he tries to betray Trump. Trump's not putting up with that shit. You negotiate a deal with me, we're going to deal with that. We'll get to Musk. Yeah.
Money's still going to Ukraine, though. Still,
part of that has to do with the power of the purse is ultimately in the Congress. The presidency is only executive orders, but executive orders only last for so long before you have to have the Congress implement it.
But according to the judges that don't even remember the Section 2 of the Constitution, everything in the executive branch is actually delegated by Congress.
No. Yeah, they're dipshits. But to my point is that we can use these shitheads that are elitists, globalists, whatever you want to call them. You know what? I can get you to the table. And I can get you, because you know what? Ultimately, you're the love of money guy. You're the guy that doesn't actually care about people. You just want to make money. So you know what? I can get BlackRock to the table. I can get Palantir to the table. I can get all these companies to come to the table because you know what? It's in your best interest to work with me, or I'm going to put you into bankruptcy. And I believe that's the way that Trump is operating. And he's got 3.5 years to really do that.
I just hope we can see a Teddy Roosevelt thing where he breaks them up.
100%. But that's going to take a lot. I mean, we had a whole trial of against the monopolistic tactics of Microsoft.
Google too.
And Google too. Well, that's ongoing.
Yep.
That's still ongoing. Yeah. But look we had a whole trial proving that Microsoft is a monopoly.
Yep.
Do you know of any other system other than Microsoft, Apple, that is the predominant operating systems that's sold on computers today? Apple, because it's their own product, has their own operating system.
Yep.
HP, Asus, Dell, all these other computers, what do they have on them?
Windows.
Apple.
Windows. They got Windows on all those computers. You know why? Because we broke up their monopoly, but guess what? They still got to keep their monopoly. And now I have to deal with fucking updates on my computers that change all my settings, even though I asked them not. I literally clicked the buttons in every 15 computers around here to not change a single thing, and don't do an automatic update unless you ask my permission. And you know what? I come in and that computer says, we had to do an update. Hope you like what we changed. No, fucker, I don't like anything you changed.
I have a little thought here. Relation to Microsoft, right? They said they're monopoly and nothing changes, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what if, let's just say I'm going to play devil's advocate. It's like how the administration is going a little bit with the Palantir and, all these big capital, BlackRock and all that, orbiting them, Peter Thiel Network, Elon Musk.
Yeah.
And you could say all you want about Neuralinks, but Elon Musk wants everybody to have a Neuralink, everybody to have that in your brain. So what if what's going on, courts, deportations, what if that's the big weapon of mass distraction and we're not really everybody's like talking about all the good things that's happening, but, history will say how many deportations will happen in the second term compared to past presidents. But I think we need to be more aware of the Palantir stuff and all this other stuff, because a lot of people that aren't in the know, they'll watch Fox News or Ben Shapiro or any other run-of-the-mill network.
Right.
They'll be distracted by, Trump's doing all this. Oh, all of a sudden, Palantir gets an AI database of every American, right?
Right.
So,
and that's my point tonight. Is it's a lot of
you're
mass
right
distraction.
on that too. We don't understand Trump. Is it all there's like art of the deal, or is it a weapon of mass distraction? We just don't know.
Right. And he is a showman. We will give him that 100%.
Oh, yeah.
That does not automatically mean that a showman is a bad person.
Mm-hmm.
I am a showman. When I get up, it took me 2 or 3 songs in at Wings, etc. this past Friday before I kind of relaxed and I started engaging the people in the bar, in the restaurant. Just because I had to get comfortable. And then when a few of my friends walked in, okay, now I've got a point of reference where I can relax because I got a few of my friends and I can see their faces. So then I engage the rest of the whole bar. And then I get a response from the bar. And I'm not looking for accolades, but I'm like, you guys having fun? Am I sounding good out there? Well, on one level, I'm eliciting a response. I'm trying to get an ego push. But on the realistic level, for me, does it sound okay? Are you hearing my voice okay? Is the guitar and the voice on the same, are they blending? Because I'm standing at the speakers. You're standing out in front of the speakers. Is it sounding okay? So there's a dynamic of being a showman where you have to engage people and you have to have a certain persona. It doesn't mean that persona is not you, but it means that you are being an MC or a character. And I watched this with Trump, you know?
Mhm.
And there's a difference between being a genuine persona and being a politician persona who's not backing it up. And I'm just as hopeful as you. I'm just as hopeful. I'm looking at this going, because there's some things that he's doing that
I just been a little bit discouraged lately. That's
Correct.
all. That's all.
No,
I'm
I
saying.
agree with you. And I want to dive into that. John Bovey points out, he goes, are you suggesting that Linux isn't prolific? And you know what, John Bovey? I purposely didn't say Linux in the Windows Apple OS discussion when I said it, so that somebody would chime in with Linux, because Linux is in all three of the systems, and Linux has a huge amount of database. I get the Debian, I get the there's so many different versions of Linux because it's all what do you call it? All it's developed by the people, by the actual guys they're like, somebody will just develop something. Just develop this software, develop that. There's so many releases from Linux that are phenomenal. Some of your best systems out there, solid systems that don't have a bunch of bullshit, are Linux-based systems. So I purposely left it out so that somebody would chime in and point it out, because I wanted to elaborate on Linux. Linux is a free download system that is worked on by all the people that use it. There's no centralized dynamic of it, and it is a superior system. It is not the most prolific system out there from the standpoint of all of the equipment that works with it. I would switch over to all Linux computers, and I have at one point. Most of the software that I use to do this program will not interact with Linux, or I have to have an emulator in order to work with it. And that creates another level of issues that I can have. Larry, you ready over there?
I have a story I would like to share with everyone. The liberals are absolutely going bonkers. So if we can cut to my computer.
I will give Larry's laptop in the news.
I'd take a break. I need a break.
You got to go get a...
Yeah.
I'll take some ice, Patrick, if you're going down.
I was hoping that we were going to just, I'll get that filled up for you.
Oh, cool. Wonder why,
Well, Larry's gonna
why
do-
is it showing the screen and not the laptop?
You know, did you...
I don't know.
What's that
Cool
system
car.
over there?
It's a cool car, though.
What's the system? Is it OBS?
I don't know. I got it under the dogs. I mean,
Oh.
the lion.
Open up the OBS, Larry.
OBS? Oh, okay.
Open up the
hold on.
OBS.
I will.
You got that?
The OBS.
And you know what? Since the latest Windows
Yeah.
update.
Oh, there you go. Okay, now what do I do?
Now
I'm
go
on
up to the top.
OBS.
Now go up to the top. Or no, click on the side of the picture in a blank spot.
It's like what I had to do earlier. before
Exactly,
the
with
show.
Grandma Grandpa. Click on the blank spot and it'll say
Enable preview, lock
yes.
preview.
enable preview, and then click the DBM or DM. There's two screen options. One is the laptop. The other one is the system that I'm using. It'll say HDMI D.
Can
you help him out, Teddy?
Preview is clicked.
You want to do full screen preview. Full screen preview
Enable
too.
preview.
But I'm not seeing it switch over.
Yeah.
Hang on, let me. All right, so
All right.
walk through me.
All right. Where's the click right here? Click right here. Right there. All right.
Preview.
Enable preview. No, you got to be able to.
Oh.
Did he have a? He doesn't have.
All right. Go down here to the scroll bar.
Oh, he doesn't.
Sorry, guys. We're doing this on the fly. It was a week
Yeah.
off. I want you to go to okay, we're not doing a window. All right, come up back up here.
Yeah.
Go over here.
Okay.
Right click. Just say enable preview.
Enable preview.
Go down.
Oops.
No, don't.
Don't click it. Enable.
Go down to.
Okay, full screen.
Yes, that bottom one.
This one.
There. Now it's a black screen. Now you got to get back to your tab that has your.
Okay. Let's give it a second to catch up and see what happens.
Let's see. Go back to your. All right. Go back to this one.
Oh.
Go back to that OBS.
Okay, go to this one.
This one.
This one.
All right. Now you got to go to this.
Uh-huh.
Click on that. Why is it not showing you? You're doing the browser? Hit right click. Properties.
Oh, okay. Properties.
Why is it not showing properties?
I don't know.
I don't know. What are you trying to find? I'm going to have to punt.
Geez.
I have to send it on through Facebook.
I'm going to have to do it over here. That's why I have the Midwestern over here.
Well, the story I wanted to share, I guess I'm just going to read it. I'm not going to share it.
I'll go to my wall
for
feed.
now. You go
All
ahead.
right, there goes. Which one you want? Whitmer?
No, I'm not. I'm the Midwesterner.
Which one you want?
Let me pull it up. I'm. Let's see. Oh no, there we go. All right. Fed offers up prediction that spells good news for Trump economy.
What site are you on?
The Heartlander. Heartlandernews.com 2025. Let's see if you can pull that up.
I can't pull it up, Larry. My keyboard won't work.
Yeah, that's okay. I'll just read it.
That's the way I tried to get everything set up.
The Federal Reserve Bank of Atlanta's growth estimate for the real gross domestic product, GDP, for the second quarter of 2025 increased on Monday. The Atlanta Fed's GDP Now model estimate is now projecting the U.S. real GDP will raise 4.6% in the second quarter of the year. That marks an increase from 3.8% on May 30th, according to the Atlanta Fed.
Okay.
So I'll tell you what, Trump's stuff is working. Trump's tariffs are working and I have conclusive proof that Trump's tariffs are working because even the Pope is made in America now.
He's been waiting for 2 weeks to share that one. I love it. He caught me off guard at dinner, and I was like, "Oh, that is funny." I appreciate that one. I appreciate that.
I'd like to say that I don't think we should be looking at the stock market and the GDP to measure actual economic growth. That's all. I just want to say that.
Well, those aren't the only indicators.
Yeah.
Yes, but
because the stock market can be up, and the GDP can be expanding, but the economy can be in the tank at the same time. They're not necessarily related.
Exclusive.
Look how bad people suffered under Joe Biden. But
what are you talking about? It's about Chris County. Chris County. Man, it's Chris.
Yeah,
look, man. Listen, and by the way, come on, man.
Yeah.
Chris, shit. I mean, come on. You want to go outside the gym? I'll kick your ass.
I could kick your ass.
Come on, man.
Give me some chocolate chip.
Chocolate chip, ice cream. Listen, man. And by the way, and furthermore,
that's what America's all about.
It's good, man.
Yeah, you know what Democrats really hate is when you start talking about the stock market and how bad it was until Republicans took the House back and stopped Joe Biden dead in his tracks.
But come on, man.
Until then, it was just losing in the markets.
I think if the market, especially over the tariff craziness in the last couple months, if they went back up, like skyrocket over a obvious spoof tweet by a troll, I don't think I should take that institution seriously.
Right.
Because why were they so Humpty Dory about the tariffs is because it would cut into their cheap labor and their profit margins. And the stock market is full of snakes, usurers, and not good people. Not good people.
Do we?
You got it working now?
This is mine. I got my keyboard working.
Oh, okay.
And I think this economy, for the most part, is built upon today's economy is built on usury and speculation and just a house of cards. And there's nothing really being produced. And I think it will collapse one day. Well, it'll collapse one day, but I think it's just.
Well, do you think Trump's doing anything to try to get that back?
Well, maybe he could, like I said before, break up all the conglomerates buying up our important aspects of the economy, not like, besides Chinese buying farmland, BlackRock, Blackstone buying up houses.
We need to get rid of that. We
need
to definitely get rid of all the Chinese buying up.
Chinese should not be permitted to buy farmland.
And you mean farmland directly connected next to our military bases?
Yes.
Well, I think if we're going to get into the Ukraine stuff later, we'll get back into that. But, you know, I think anything can happen if you have a decent network of stuff and you can just hide things in the truck.
Do I smell coffee?
That's right.
Wow. What'd you do? What flavor did you do?
I just got regular. Trying to find regular that's not decaf.
Oh.
Why what is the point to decaf coffee? I mean, it's like, why?
Because people like the flavor late at night and they want to do that. I just, when we were over at Tommy's today, so shout out once again to my good friend, bandmate, and proprietor, Tom Brady. Tom Brady Jr., the Tom Brady. Not James Brady. What are you talking about? You stupid search engine.
Jim Brady, Detroit.
Yeah, well, we were over there at Southland getting stuff. So this is Jim Brady's Detroit. Phenomenal restaurant in downtown Royal Oak on Main Street. Phenomenal. I get where's it at right there? The Spanish octopus right there. Spanish octopus, romasco, salsa verde, baby arugula, and I always get an extra helping of the garlic aioli. I love it.
What the heck is a baby arugula?
Arugula?
Yes.
Arugula. Baby arugula. Where are you reading that one at?
Right underneath there. Spanish octopus.
Oh, baby arugula. So, I don't know.
Yeah, me neither.
But it is a phenomenal dish. There's a whole bunch of green stuff. I'm going to ask
him when he comes over.
There's a whole bunch of green stuff on there.
A whole bunch of green stuff?
Yeah, I love it.
I don't know that I could try octopus. I don't know that.
Dude,
I had
it's
octopus
phenomenal.
once and it was like chewing on a rubber band.
That's the difference. They soak the octopus there in a brine sauce with red wine corks, and the red wine corks somehow keep that octopus tentacle arm so tender. And when you cut into it, it's an arm. It's an 8-arm motherfucker. Anyway, so it's phenomenal, dude. And I tell you what, I go there and so today I went and got I got the Spanish octopus and I got the Korean short ribs have actually moved over to the main menu. This is an older site. The Korean short ribs have moved over to the main menu and they've made it more. There's more short ribs with sides and stuff like that. They used to be on the appetizers. And then I got the there it is. There's the bigger set. And I had the this is not the menu from the main site. This is just what I pulled up on the fly.
I think that's Yelp. No,
Huh?
it's a different website. Looked like Yelp.
No, open table. Let me see if that's Yelp. There we go. Is this it? That's restaurant. No, I want literally there's the home website. There we go.
Remember when you could look up something like a business and their site would be on the
their
top?
Their site would be on the top.
And then you get all these ads and you get all these big websites that paid to boost their stuff. And then you get the website
it's a whole bunch of bullshit. our menus. Look at that stuff. Let me see if I go back up. Our menus.
Pat, do you like coconut?
Let's see. They got so much.
You need to
stuff.
try that.
Is this the wrong one?
Oh, wow.
Shit, this is the wrong one too.
Coffee made, though. Yeah.
Every morning I have a.
No, it's Jim Brady's Detroit. Well, it's TripAdvisor.
They make it in zero sugar too.
Oh, cool.
So part of the problem is anyways, if you guys want to go and have a phenomenal night out at a great restaurant and have some great food,
That's where you
great
go.
ambience, you go there.
I've been there. I've been there with Jeremy.
It is
and
phenomenal.
incredible.
It's phenomenal.
And they have German beer on draft.
They do.
What kind?
What kind?
Ooh. I had a. It's called.
Hefeweizen?
Hefeweizen.
Hefeweizen. Yeah.
Yes, very good.
I'm trying to scroll down and see the
That sounds
pictures if
good.
I can see where the nobody posted a picture of dude, that Spanish octopus is phenomenal.
You just got to take a picture of it next time you're there.
Dude.
You're just supposed to have it on the
Dude,
show.
and I'll tell you what, you know what? There's a lost art to presentation sometimes, and my buddy Tommy. So Jim Brady was his grandfather,
Yep.
and Tommy has carried on that tradition of his grandfather there at the restaurant. And look at this 7 Mile Greenfield. They've got the booths with the mile markers on it. It's phenomenal stuff. So anyway, so that's
I got to get down there. He's told me to come down.
yeah. You've been here in the man cave, and he's
He's invited me down.
yeah,
Yep.
yeah. Tommy's awesome on that. We went there today, and it was incredible food again. My mother-in-law got a house salad, and it was huge. And I'm like, I warned you. It was just huge, and had this nice piece of grilled salmon on top, with the whole salad, with all this. She didn't like I liked it. I brought it home. That's what I put on your salad tonight.
Okay.
It's a maple syrup vinaigrette.
Oh, boy.
I didn't let you taste it. You would taste it when you go down there. It's in the fridge. Because I was like, don't waste that. Don't throw that.
Don't waste it on Acton.
But I was at the thing today. I was like, don't waste that. Put that in a container for me. I'll take that home.
Oh, yeah.
And they love getting, my wife and my mother-in-law always love getting the salmon po' boy at there. Their burger is phenomenal. They got a couple. I just, you know what? If he wasn't my friend, I would still gush over the food. He's my friend, and so that makes it all the better. And he's come here. We had a couple times where we hung out as bands, as the band guys, and we got here like on a Sunday afternoon, and we're like, we're gonna hang out. Tigers game on, or it was hockey or something like that. I'm like, it's gonna be on the big screen. We'll jam out. We'll do a band practice. We'll do this and like that. Tommy's like, all right, I'm bringing this. And he brought Korean short ribs. He brought all this stuff, and he's just working it and doing all that stuff. And he's like, nope, I got it, man. I just need this, dude. Phenomenal food, and he's a badass. And I'll tell you this, I give a shout out to him on this level. Jozzy was here hanging out with me. Jozzy, you guys, I don't know, you guys have never seen Jocelyn, but Jocelyn's one of my kids. I consider her a daughter, 100%, and she's a sweetheart. And she wanted to make, what do they call them? Potato grillers. This is something that Taco Bell made for a while, potato griller. So she looks up the recipe and she's like, yeah, can I make potato grillers? I'm like, absolutely. So we're in here and she's got the recipe, and we bought potatoes, and she cuts them up and she does this. And it's basically a burrito, right? But it's made of potato and cheese and like sour cream. And then once you put all that in there, then you put it in on a skillet, and you sear the shell to like do the final set of it. But you have to bake these. You have to take these potatoes and you got to season them, and you've got to bake them or put them in the oven for a certain amount of time to crisp them up, to get them crispy. And she says, well, she's a little confused on the menu. Or on the recipe. She's looking at it. And I said, honey, this guy's been in the restaurant business for his whole life. His dad and his grandfather ran restaurants. He's been in the restaurant business his whole life, like behind the counter, as a little kid, and then growing up in that environment, doing stuff. I said, and so I turned her over to him and I says, Tommy, what do you think? Well, she goes, oh, yes. She goes, just do this. She goes, put a little olive oil in there, do this, do that, shake it up a little bit, do this, like this. She's like, okay, sure. She's eating it later as we're doing band practice. And I go, how is it? And she goes, exactly like the restaurant. She goes, this is perfect. And I'm like, my buddy Tommy, he's nonchalant. He's like, oh yeah, you just do it like this and do it like that. Cause he's been doing it for years.
Yeah.
Same way with me with carpentry.
Yeah.
Same with you with medical and paint. It's like, dude, we just go, let's just do like this. Just, come in there and just cut that in and do this. Yeah. Teddy, you want to get in? You want to comment on that, or you want?
No, I'm just want to get down there. It looks like there's an octopus right there in that one picture. Is that what it looks like?
Mm-hmm. Downtown Royal Oak. You go just past what is that? The main street that runs through there. It's not Main Street. You go just past that and go down Main Street, and he's about 2 blocks in. Right across from the market, there's a marker across. He's on the west side of the street, and it's phenomenal, dude. Tommy, I can't speak highly enough about Tommy. It's he's just there's the restaurant. I'll click back to that.
I've been there before. It was another lifetime, and it's a story I'd have to tell you off camera.
Yeah.
Yes.
Diamond Jim Brady's
had nothing to do with the restaurant.
Yeah. That's it's a phenomenal. I don't even if I click on that. That's. I don't want to click on that because I don't know if that's. Yeah, that's Tommy. There's Tommy and one of his guys. I don't know if he's still there, but there's his grandfather in the background. I'll switch to that wall feed. So if you guys look at that picture, I'll open that in a open that image in a new tab and go to that. So there's Tommy. That's my guitar player. And if you look at this, is a mural on the wall there. That's his grandfather, the guy in the black and white behind him. And I don't know if that's a chef, sous chef, something like that. But this is a little bit older picture. But they're sitting at the end of the bar. Actually, that mural leads to the bathrooms go to the right of them, and the main part of the restaurant goes to the left of them. And they got some phenomenal food. I've even had the opportunity. I was doing some work for a mutual friend of ours in Royal Oak. He bought a rental, and I was in there doing a little bit of work for them. And I came over a couple times for lunch at Tommy's place and met my buddy, his one of his best friends since they were 6 years old. And I was doing a little work on his place, and we're like, hey, let's meet up at Tommy's. We'll go get lunch. And I come in there, and he was training he had a new chef coming in there, and the new chef wanted to try a couple little tweaks on the menu because that's their signature stuff, And he's like, you got to stick close to the heritage of the place, obviously, but let's introduce a few new items here and there. And I'm sitting there at the bar with them, we're lunching it, and they lay out all this food to sample because that's what you do in restaurants. We're sampling all the food, we're checking it all out. And they get all done sampling it, and I've got just the spread in front of me of appetizers and entrees. And I'm just like, what are you doing? And he's like, Dad, have at it. And I'm just like, it's a buffet in front of me. And I'm just like, dude, he's like, yeah, man. He's like, what do you And then they're asking me for my feedback too. They had their feedback because their palates are trained. But they're asking the novice guy. They're like, "What do you think?" And I was like, "You know what? I really like these. Dude, this was great." I was like, "That's not my." But don't take my word for it because I'm not a big fan of that type of. But I was like, working through it. Their stuff there is. I mean, the burgers alone. You're not gonna the price you would pay for that burger. You go, wow, for a burger, and then you eat that burger and you go.
I think the key to burgers is having quality beef.
Oh, 100%. And that's what they've got. That's what they've got there.
Huge difference. I got that side of beef, and that burger that I had tonight was from that. And
Nice.
It's phenomenal.
Nice. I should have given you the copper sheet.
Yeah. I could have done it on the flat grill.
We could have done the flat grill, but what I like on the big grill is, so it all depends. So here's something. Is anybody even paying attention in chat over there? I don't even know. Teddy, you're checking chat?
I am. I don't know if it's loading or not.
Yeah. So there's a trade-off. If you do it on the flat skillet, which mine's one of the biggest ones I could find.
Yeah.
That's a pretty big dude out there. But the grill itself, because it's infrared, it's at such a high temperature. What temperature was it at when you threw your burger on?
400.
What?
The grill was 400.
Was it 400?
Yeah.
Okay. So I try not to throw anything on until the temp meter pegs, which is about 750 or more.
Yeah.
So I know that surface, I have a 600 degree temperature reading, and it eases out on me. It errors out on me when I temp it.
Okay.
After I hit that, I'm like, all right, I'm above 600. So I like to get that grill above at least 600, because anything you put on there, steak, chicken, whatever, you're going to sear it, and searing seals in the juices immediately. You put pork chops on there, you put chicken on there, you put steak on there. You want to get that seared right away, seals in all your juices. Then you're allowing the juices to actually almost boil, or they're at the temperature boiling. They're boiling inside the meat.
Yeah.
The outside is textured, and it's just phenomenal. The taste that comes out, and then you cut it open. You guys have had the pork chops here, Patrick and Larry, and you cut them open, and just the juices just pour out, and it's fully cooked, and it's moist and tender. That was always the complaint with a lot of pork chops is
or dried.
They're dried out.
Dried out.
Yeah, their chicken's dried out.
Yeah. And
you're like, you cut it open, and it's just juices just pour out. That's the searing effect.
Yeah.
But what happens is when you put it on the skillet, you end up with overly juiced, because the juices can only just drain away from that. They're not dripping down and burning off.
Yeah. So
on the grill, when you put it on there, it's dripping and draining off, but it's not at you lost part of it. I saw your burger when you brought it out.
Yeah.
Part of it's still stuck to the grates. So what happens is I take those Oshi copper sheets, and I put them on the grill, and I get it up to that 800 degrees. And when you put it on there, you get the grill marks, you get the juice flowing away, but you don't get the stick, and you get the searing effect of that burger.
Yeah.
And that's the dynamic, is you get a less greasy feeling burger, but still all of the juices trapped inside. That's I should have given you the Oshi.
Yeah.
Sorry guys, I like to cook.
All right. The burger was good. It's tasty, just as I had it.
Yeah. Let's do this. Larry, you got a lightning round over there? I don't know if we can figure out your laptop over there. It's still black.
It's still black.
Pull up the OBS and see if you can get it to work. Teddy, have you ever messed with OBS?
A long time ago.
You're
I don't even know.
young-
I don't even know if I have that version of my computer. I don't think I updated it.
Did you pull up the OBS, Larry?
I did.
Go down to the taskbar, and see if you can close all of the windows from OBS, other than the actual OBS,
Okay.
the projections.
Yeah. Close window. Close window.
There. Now you're back to that.
No.
Okay. Now go to the OBS. Click on the
Enable
OBS.
preview. Oops.
And you've got to be able to see on the OBS app your browser. You see the OBS? You see the browser on the OBS app?
Brave browser.
Yes. Is the little eyeball icon clicked on? Nope. All right. Well, I'll tell you what, buddy. Are you going to the Midwesterner?
Yeah, why don't you just
I will
pull
do
it
the
up?
Midwestern over here for you. All right, what do you want to do first?
Well, let me pull up over here.
Because Gretchen Schitsmeer.
Yes.
What's I can't print. Listen, guys. I apologize out there in the audience. I have trouble with pronunciation. Schitsmeer, Witchmer, Hitmeer. I can't. It's you know. I don't know. You know. Listen, Jocelyn Benson has pledged to us. She will be fully transparent and she will comply with Freedom of Information Acts when she's elected governor. So guys, you have to vote for the bill, like Nancy Pelosi says.
To see what's in
You
it.
just vote for the bill and then you can read it. It doesn't matter how many Trojan horses are in it or how much shit we've stuffed into it. If you vote for me, we've got it. Come on. But let me do it.
It's a big, beautiful bill.
It's a big, beautiful bill. I wrote that in their notes, didn't I?
I hope people in Michigan aren't that damn stupid.
Big, beautiful. I wrote in our notes, it's the big, beautiful pile of bullshit. And Trump knows that. He's acknowledging it, but he's trying to ride it out. And what do they say about that? There's some dynamics of he said there's some things that we're not going to be able to fix until we get past the budget bill. The big, beautiful bill is a budget bill. People need to understand this. It's a budget bill.
Mm-hmm.
Teddy, comment?
Well, I think that in terms of the big, beautiful bill, I didn't really read into it or all that, but I think I'm a little concerned that Elon Musk
said it's a bunch of...
Well, if it's going to make the deficit worse and we're already in a, let's just say, bit of a financial pickle when it comes to our national debt,
Mm-hmm.
and we're tied to a not so stable house of cards of an economy, I think that adding more to the deficit and adding more to spending, while not really cutting anything with the Doge, is going to be kicking the can down the proverbial road of financial collapse.
Two things. Do you really believe that Doge did anything other than exposing where the waste is?
I don't think it would. I think it exposed some waste, but if you really wanted to see the waste, you'd have to
look at Nancy Pelosi's pocketbook.
You'd have to do stuff that people aren't going to like actually go through Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, and the military spending.
Correct.
You know
Which all three of those?
Mm-hmm. But you can't touch those though.
No, but all three of those, the waste is not in the recipients. The waste is in the bureaucracy.
Yep. But you
100%.
can't. But it's unconstitutional. You can't fire them because Congress actually appointed executive branch agencies.
But that's the shit that we need to do away with. No, you're exactly right. Exactly right.
The problem is that we're playing by the enemy's rules.
In the big beautiful bill, Trump's Republicans put in there no tax on Social Security, and the media portrayed it.
Are we going to pay for
the weapon of mass distraction portrayed it as you're touching Social Security? No, we're getting rid of taxes on Social Security. You're touching Social Security. It's a buzzword bullshit.
Well, here's my thing. How are we, if we get rid of the tax on Social Security, and I didn't read the bill, disclaimer, how are we going to pay into Social Security? How is Social Security supposedly going to pay?
We're talking about taxes on Social Security recipients.
Yeah.
Okay.
People that are getting paid Social Security benefits are being taxed.
So grandma that's getting $1,900 a month in Social Security doesn't pay tax on that because it's not a lot of money in the first place.
Yeah, she's getting $1,900. She's actually only getting $1,600.
Okay. I see now. That's a good thing. I was just
correct.
I was just a little confused on the wording.
But that's how the media is twisting it. Just like grandma's going to have to eat dog food because Trump's going to do.
Cliff,
yeah.
It's like what Larry was saying earlier. If Trump bans men from women's sports, we're going to be like the Handmaid's Tale. It's scary. It's scary. It's Christian.
It's a weapon of mass distraction. We're going to be distracted. Larry, what do you got?
Oh,
what's the first article?
House. Well, this is not the misdemeanor. I mean, excuse me, the that website yet. I'm not
Larry,
Not there yet. Michigan House
I
Republicans
can't pull up your fucking computer if you.
introduce articles of impeachment against Jocelyn Benson.
Oh,
Michigan Representative James DeSana of Carleton, Michigan, has introduced articles of impeachment against Secretary of State Jocelyn Benson.
we say
The reason behind issuing the articles of impeachment are for corrupt conduct, constitutional violations, and repeated abuses of powers.
yeah. You know what'll happen with that?
Well,
Nothing.
this includes her unlawful election directives, failure to preserve critical election records, and conduct that has undermined public trust in the democratic process, according to the advisory.
How about it was a stolen fucking election and they know it?
Well, she's a cheater.
Anyone
And
remember?
a scissor sister.
Anyone remember the Biden impeachment inquiry and that how nothing happened, and they're going to impeach Trump. They impeached Trump twice. They're probably going to do it a third and fourth time. But we have to inquire if we can impeach Biden.
Yeah,
Right. So,
because Biden's not competent to stand trial, but he was competent to stay in office.
so go to federal court dismisses charges against State Police Sergeant Ben Keeley.
On,
Well, which one are you on?
I'm
right
at the
now?
Midwesterner, bro.
Right. Well, which story are you on?
I was on the main
Oh,
page.
that was that one. Yeah, just you got to click back to the main page.
Clicking back, bro.
Yeah, there you go. Keep going down. There you go.
Oh,
know-
there's the DeSana introduces the Secretary of State. Was that the one you were
Is it
looking at?
there? Oh, there it is.
Yeah,
Okay, you can click on that.
I can click on that.
There
Larry
you
gave me
go.
permission to click
There
on
you
that.
go.
There it is.
Sorry.
Representative DeSana. DeSana.
DeSana.
That's what you say
Here
when you're
comes
like
DeSanta.
you're like,
Here comes
hey, it's
DeSanta. Right,
DeSana. Impeachment articles against Secretary of State Jocelyn Benson. Now I've got a Jocelyn spelled different and much more appropriate, but this Jocelyn Benson is a bitch. My Jocelyn is fucking awesome.
Uh-huh.
Anyways, Jocelyn Benson, here's all this shit. Yeah, I'm done with that. What's the next one, Larry?
I have federal court dismisses charges against State Police Sergeant.
Was that
Brian
on the side
Keeley.
here? I gotta go back.
You got to go back.
I gotta go back. Federal.
Yeah.
There's marijuana. I don't know what has to do with anything.
They've
I
got
just
a
saw
lot of
marijuana. Where you at? Stop me when I scroll down, Larry. People are watching. Federal court dismisses. There it is.
Yep, there you go.
There we go. We're going to this one. What do you got, Larry?
Ooh,
Federal court dismisses.
There you go. Michigan Attorney General Dana Nessel's questionable decision to persecute a police officer in the death of a wanted fugitive results in charges dismissed on Wednesday. U.S. District Court Judge Hala Jarbow ruled Nessel did not present significant evidence to support a second-degree murder charge against Michigan's State Police Sergeant Brian Keeley in the death of 25-year-old Samuel Sterling in Kentwood in April of 2024.
So why is this article important to you? Is because of the Secretary of State, or because of, or not Secretary of State, the Attorney General, or is it because of?
Well, it's because the libtards were trying to persecute this police officer for doing his job.
Okay.
I think the
he acted solely in self-defense.
I think that article on the side there at the bottom is a little bit more interesting.
Okay, we'll get to that one. So what are you saying, Larry? Is you think that the state police?
Yes, he saved the most interesting ones for last.
Yes. Don't jump ahead. I got to work with him not jumping ahead, and you're jumping ahead.
Hey, it's
What
part
the
of
hell are you
it's
doing?
part of the weapon of mass distraction. Just testing you, buddy.
Thank you, Teddy.
Jarboe, who granted Keeley immunity under the Supremacy Clause of the U.S. Constitution, pointing to his position as a special deputy for the U.S. Marshal Service at the time. Jarboe said Nessel failed to present evidence documenting a genuine dispute about whether Keeley acted pursuant to federal law and did no more than what was necessary and proper for him to do in attempting to apprehend Sterling?
All right, so Sterling was taken to the University of Michigan Metro Health Hospital and died of injuries hours later after he was, what does it say? Officers approached Sterling as he was putting air in the vehicle's tire at a gas station. Sterling fled from officers on foot. So he's putting air in his tires, and they're like, dude, we need to talk to you. And he runs away.
Mm-hmm.
Officers pursued on foot and in vehicles and unmarked SUVs. Driven by Keeling, struck Sterling as he ran through a Burger King parking lot. Okay. Is there footage? Sterling's family immediately secured civil attorney Ben Crump, best known for cases involving George Floyd, Trayvon Martin, and others killed in police incidents, which George Floyd, Trayvon Martin, for the record, were both bullshit.
Yes.
George Floyd, by reputable autopsies, had more fentanyl in the system that could kill like a fucking herd of cattle. Okay? Trayvon Martin, when you watch all of the evidence and watch all of the footage, was skulking around in a hoodie, acting like a fucking criminal.
Yes.
And the guy who took him out was a Latino American who was on patrol as part of the Citizens Watch, what do they call it? Neighborhood Watch.
Yeah.
Okay. Both of those were bullshit, meant to incite, under Obama's administration, incite racial tensions. He was the shittiest president other than Biden in recent memory at stoking racial tensions. He did not come in as a peacemaker. The first black president, other than Bill Clinton, did not fucking get rid of racial tensions. They hyped them because you want to divide and conquer a populace so you can control them.
Sure, that's where all the division started. This country is as divided as it is today because of Barack Obama, who divided the country on purpose.
Correct.
And he did it in two ways: by inciting racial divisions in the country and pushing extremist policies that hurt the people, including destroying our healthcare system.
Correct.
Yep.
That was,
Barack Hussein Obama, better known as Barry Soetoro, his birth name.
Married to Michael.
Married to Michael.
They went two round of kids.
Michael and I adopted our kids because we do it in the butt. We just,
You didn't have a butt birth.
It's not right. It's not right. It's disgusting. Larry, what's another one you want to do on here on the Midwesterner before I go
right
back there?
now I'm on Dana Nessel Moles, another lawsuit against Trump.
I know you were interested in this one here.
Yes, that one's coming.
What is
right
it?
here?
Moles, another lawsuit.
Do you want to go to that one now and get it out of the way?
What one was it?
Right here. This one.
Oh, Nessel Chides. Okay.
No. It was about
Now,
a U of M
scroll
student.
up. You gotta scroll up.
Scroll up.
U of M.
Yeah, you got to scroll up.
MSU?
It's the bottom story.
Scroll up.
There you
Right
go.
there,
Chinese
bottom.
U of M.
Right there.
There you
Oh,
go.
speaking of that, I'll go over to here. Look at this. How many of you like this one? Marco Rubio. Listen, I first learned of this guy when Trump called him Little Marco.
Yes.
Little Marco. He's Little Marco.
I remember the video of him like just doing a response to State of Union. He kept drinking the water bottle every 5 seconds.
He's like, Little Marco. But now Marco Rubio has stepped up. He's become a pretty bad motherfucker.
He has been a pleasant surprise
Holy
for the
shit.
most part. I thought when he picked, like, you remember I was saying,
you're like, dude, Rubio is a fucking disaster.
Yeah, I'm not so sure about the foreign policy if Rubio's there.
Dude, his dressing down of the Congress lately, if you've watched those videos where he's like just keeps going at it. And you're like, holy shit, this guy's a badass.
And he has all these other positions that he's assumed too, like USAID, and there's I think he's like a librarian or a bunch of other stuff too. That he's just like they fire the people that the people that would do damage to progress, and then he just takes temporary control of it, or acting director or whatever.
So I'm going to officially click on this on air, live right now, live on air. I'm clicking my heart like button on X because it says breaking: Marco Rubio now revoking visas for Chinese citizens, especially those connected with this CCP. No shit, Sherlock.
Has that been temporarily injuncted yet?
Probably by some leftist fucking judge. So now going back to this, Chinese U of M student, is it UM? UM?
It's supposed to be U of M.
U of M? We do the U of M, motherfucker. Chinese U of M student charged federally after illegally voting in Michigan election flees the country. And what happened? Michigan Democrat Attorney General allowed him to leave. After he voted and get charged federally, she allowed him to leave. Federal prosecutor have unsealed a criminal case against a former University of Michigan student who illegally voted in a 2024 federal election in Michigan. The Chinese national who had a green card, God, it's green, fled the United States to avoid a prosecution despite being released on a bond with a strict travel restriction, meaning you don't get to go. Just meaning you don't get to go, right?
You sound more like Georgie than anything.
Despite voting illegally and attempted to retrieve his ballot after his cast, he's like, listen, I can't have it totally recorded. I gotta have it back because it's got my name on.
But I got to interject something here. Christina Caramo went to U of M on election night, only to find that they had the gymnasium full of students that they were signing up and getting them to vote well after 2:00 in the morning.
That's correct.
With the enticement of giving the kids free pizza and free pop.
That's illegal.
No.
That's what they
You can't give them free anything.
But that's what they were doing. She said that it was illegal, and Dana Nessel and Jocelyn Benson, their offices were contacted by her, and she was told to stand down.
No, Patrick, no.
No, this is what happened. This is reality.
It is what happened. It's the truth.
Listen.
And you guys worked on elections. What happens if that certification that they sign in the county?
It's not illegal.
What happens if the Republicans refuse to sign it?
Can I just vote on a ballot with an auto pen? Is that allowed?
Does that mean that election wasn't certified?
Right. Yes.
I like what young Teddy has injected here.
What's that?
Can we just from now on all vote with an auto pen?
Yeah, that's a good question.
I'm just gonna push a computer button and it'll automatically vote.
I'm going to get my vote from the mail, and I'm going to auto pen it and set it for the post office.
Dude,
maybe they'll make like 500 copies of it.
You know what? It takes less. I don't have to investigate it. And ultimately, if I fail and who's elected, and I was part of that, I just voted auto pen. It's all good. All right, let's go back to this article. Okay. Zero registered to vote on October 27, 2024, which is what, 7 days before actual election, kind of illegal.
Before the election?
Yeah. At an early voting site at University of Michigan campus, falsely claiming a U.S. citizenship to vote on his voter registration form. He cast his ballot in a presidential election, an act prohibited by a federal law, which restricts voting in federal elections to U.S. citizens only. Okay. The Midwesterner on April 29th reported that Gio skipped a probable cause hearing. The 20-year-old faces 2 felony charges on lying on voter registration form and casting illegal ballots from a get out the vote station in a U of M Museum of Art in October. So this little fucker, he voted wrong, and then this little fucker
gets in a plane and
he free the country. I don't know why you can't say error in Chinese, but apparently you're not able to say error. Like good luck to you getting out of the fucking country.
Well, I mean, with all these treasonous Dems around here, it's easy. Apparently,
I'm having too much fun
that
tonight.
are housing illegals.
Yeah.
in their home. You've got other judges that are helping illegals escape from their
Escape out of
courtrooms.
the back room, or right through the judge's chamber.
But if you fight back against that, it's an escalation according to the
Did she
weapons
not-
of
she was
mass
arrested. What happened
distraction.
with that?
She was disbarred and she's already she's pending trials.
Yeah, there was a video of her getting arrested and hauled to court.
Yeah,
It's great.
She was crying about it.
But that was an escalation, though.
I'm tearing up for you. I feel bad for you, but I don't. So let's see. So the Chinese. What else you got, Larry, over there on your lightning round? Because we're getting close to our time over here, buddy.
It is.
We talked a lot. Listen, guys.
Nessel chides Whitmer over possible kidnapper pardons. It calls it a reward you get for cozying.
Wait. I gotta see this shit. Is Whitmer herself talking about offering pardons for the people she falsely accused of trying to kidnap her? Let's read this. What voice do we read this in? Do we read it in a very nasally? Larry, you got to read it.
I got to read it.
Because otherwise,
Michigan Attorney General Dana Nasty is mocking the governor and her efforts to work with President Donald Trump on behalf of Michiganders. Nasty Nessel recently highlighted an interview with the Communist News Network in which she weighed in on the consideration of presidential pardons for two men serving prison sentence over an alleged plot to kidnap Whitmer in 2020.
Can I do the quotes? Can I do the quotes?
Yes.
Quote, the reward you get for cozying up to Trump is threatening to pardon terrorists who plot to kidnap and murder you, unquote.
Nessel posted on X along with a clip of her interview with Clinton News Network, Communist News Network, Aaron Burnett.
Quote, these criminals are a threat to public safety and law enforcement because they actually tried to defend themselves and said they were set up by the FBI, and we don't like that. Releasing them is no laughing matter, even though on this show we'll laughing our ass off because you're a fucking fraud.
Yeah,
my bad. Did that go overboard?
Yeah, it seems to me
I took it to another level.
This show knows a little bit about the Whitmer kidnapping.
Because we've interviewed the No Brothers twice.
Right,
on
for a
this
total
show.
of 8 hours of interview.
And they're fucking badasses, and they've testified on this show and in court that the other people were duped.
Yes.
The ringleader lived in a fucking basement.
Yes.
Of it wasn't a pawn shop. What was it? It was a
I don't remember.
Appliance repair shop.
Yes.
Lived in the basement.
Mm-hmm.
He's the ringleader. Out of all the people involved in that shit, the majority, and this is not speculation or hyperbole, the majority of the people involved were feds or federal informants.
Yes.
And the one dude has been charged with his wife didn't want to participate fully in the whole gangbang that he brought her to. So he beat her half to death and was charged with assaulting her.
Wait a minute. Jeffrey O'Mayo was there?
No, Jeffrey wasn't there. Stop.
Oh.
That's local shit.
Oh.
This is this other guy. And you know what he got for that?
What?
Not only did he get knocked in charge, he got promoted. What a dick. Quite literally.
Beats his wife because she won't have sex with other men. I'm a little lost.
I'm gonna pull that up like he tried to pull her up. Let's see. Whitmer Shitsmear kidnapping informant sexual charge. Let's try that. Let's see what that comes up. See what we get. I'm typing it in wrong. Let's see. Look at how bad my spelling is, dude. I wasn't looking.
It's like nobody wanted to kidnap Whitmer.
No.
It's guaranteed, and I knew it from day one. Who would want to spend time with her?
That's right. Unless they had her duct taped up, so you didn't have to listen to her.
Meh.
Let's see. See what the Washington Examiner has. Members of the anti-government, I'm trying to read through this, played a key role. Fuck. I'm pulling this up on the fly, but this guy's a piece of, I want to go back to playing the comedian who talks about this. Is he like Russian or whatever he is? He's like, listen, when I come to this country, I love it. But they had to learn how to speak the language. He's like, when somebody says they have to do shit, that means they have stuff to do. But they say have to. He goes, they're going to go somewhere and do things and shit. It just means they're going to do things. And he says, if you say I have to take a shit, means you're going to take a shit. But he says, if you're going to,
no shit.
Yeah. He goes, I know
Tough
shit.
Yeah.
And they goes through this whole thing, and I go, this guy is a piece of shit. And he goes through this whole the whole comedic dialogue, and he's like,
that stuff is the shit.
He goes, if you are the best, then you are the shit. And it means the whole shit. But if you are bad, then you are a piece of shit.
Yeah.
This guy.
And if you don't care, you don't give a shit.
Yeah, this guy, this FBI informant, he is a piece of shit.
Yes.
But if you are the whole shit, then you're good.
Right. The next story is Dana Nessel mulls another lawsuit against Trump to force closure of West Michigan power plant.
Wow.
So
is this on Midwestern?
Yes. You got to go back to the main page. And
yeah, I'm there. Moles. Where is it at?
Yeah, you got to right down the middle. Go right down the middle until you see it.
Keep scrolling down.
Oh, down the middle.
Yeah, down the middle.
All right.
Nessel cites Whitmer. No. Keep going.
She's going to comply with the FBI, the FOIA request once she's governor. Oh, she's living over the campaign finance.
Yes.
Website redo
she's
failure.
Livid about a few things. She's mad about the Republicans holding her in contempt. There it is, right down at the bottom.
Sorry, I didn't mute myself. I apologize to the audience that had to listen to that.
Yes.
All right, here's
Michigan
Dana Nasty Nessel.
Yes. Michigan Attorney General Dana Nessel is mulling another lawsuit against President Donald J. Trump administration, this time over an order delaying the planned closure of an Ottawa County power plant.
Oh.
Nessel told the Detroit News in an interview in the Detroit Regional Chamber's Mackinac Policy Conference that the unprecedented order stems from a fabricated emergency, alleging it infringes on consumers' energy plans to shutter the facility. So the last thing we want to become is California, to have rolling blackouts because of these extremist global warming
Come on, Larry.
policies.
Rolling blackouts are the new norm.
Is motivated in large part by Governor Whitmer's climate goals, with demand in the state's monopoly utilities moved to 100% clean energy sources by 2040.
Larry, are you seriously saying that you would not rather have on your phone letting you know when rolling blackouts are happening?
I would rather not have rolling blackouts. I'll leave the state. I'll be done at that point. Be like, this isn't like China. This isn't California. It's why we need to get a Republican back in there and start reversing all the damage that Schittmer has done.
Well, you got to shut down Detroit. That's what you got to do. Detroit.
Right. But I do have, after this article, I'm going to have another one. The AG said her office is currently discussing whether to sue the Trump administration over the order. This is undermining a business decision that was made many years ago, Nessel said, and the plans developing by the consumers in 2021 to shut down Consumers J.H. Campbell plant in West Olive. To me, this is unprecedented. Well, to us, it's very important, Nasty Nestle.
So
we're not
what's at the core of
interesting-
this? Is we want to Nestle wants to shut down a plant or allow Consumers Energy to shut down a plant.
Right. That doesn't need to be shut down.
And Trump is saying, no, we're not shutting that down.
Yeah,
We're going to keep power on.
Yes.
Just like when they shut down refinery plants in Texas and then the price of gas goes up, when they shut down energy plants here in Michigan or other states and the price of electricity goes up because they have a fucking monopoly on our electricity.
Like when Biden got into office, what did he do? First thing, shut down
Keystone Pipeline.
Yeah.
And what happened to gas? Gas went from $1.60 to $1.80 a gallon.
Oh hell no! Went
back up to $4.
That's right.
Yep.
You know, Trump was on his way to getting us down to like when your president negotiates deals and gets you to a place where the vast amount of money you're paying in your gas per gallon at the pump is the taxes of your raping state, your rapey state, your state that wants to rape you. And he knocks it down to where you start to recognize, wait a minute, like a half of my fucking cost of my gallon of gas is the state raping me in taxes and they can't fix the fucking roads. Dude, I spent an extra hour and a half in fucking traffic today.
Oh yeah, I do that all the
all
time.
the way to South, all the way to Royal Oak and back.
All right.
And this bitch ran on fix the fucking road, fix the damn roads, right?
Yeah.
She didn't fix the roads at all in her first term. And we live in a highly industrialized state. Listen, in 5 years, you guys can correct me in the chat if I'm wrong, but in roughly 5 years of Adolf Hitler being in charge of Germany, because he wasn't in charge for a long time. He was in charge from 33 on to
45.
Correct, but when he started his plans, when he created the Autobahn, you know the Autobahn only started needing repair in the last 20 years?
Yep.
Because they built roads to last. When Eisenhower post World War II came in, he said, you know what? We're going to create a whole bunch of fucking roads like the Germans did without the whole Nazi overtone. And he came in there and they did a whole bunch. So my whole point is that if you really want to build an infrastructure, you'll build an infrastructure. The Nazis did it in record time.
Can I bring up something, just what's happening in Heartland?
Yes.
So you know Cross Road, right? Like where the Heartland post office is?
Mm-hmm.
They're closing that down and they're going to start repairing it because it's, another crap, right?
Shit.
So it's a small road.
Yeah.
You know how long it's going to take them to fix it?
6 months.
No, from June 2nd, 2025 to August 4th, 2025.
3 months? 4 months?
3 months. Well, 2 months.
3 months to fix one fucking road. And you know what they're going to do?
It's not even a long road.
And they're going to do a shit job.
Mm-hmm.
No offense against Larry because he works in the asphalt. But if you don't build a foundation, I'm convinced, Larry can correct me, but I'm convinced if you don't do at least a 2 to 3 foot concrete base and then put a solid 2 to 3 inch asphalt covering on it, you will have problems no matter what you do. There's great road makers throughout Europe that are doing well. Case in point, I'm
we go down 9 to 12 inches.
9 to 12 inches.
That's what we do. 9 to 12 inches, right? Which is fine, unless you start getting into soft, and then you have to go deeper. But see, it becomes a little more. There's a little bit more labor there because you can't compact 12 inches of crushed concrete at one time. You have to roll
Dude, the guys
3
that
to
I
4
work,
inches
the
at
guys
a
that I
time.
work with doing just compaction, just straight compaction. The guys that I do compaction with, the excavators, every 4 inches, they have to run the compactor.
That's what I just said.
And there's nothing that compares to I don't know what the fuck this is. I typed in Hitler. Look what I typed in. You guys can see it on the screen behind me. Hitler road depth. I want to know how deep Hitler went with his roads. Here's the Autobahn. The Reichsautobahn system at the beginning of the German Autobahn under Nazi Germany. I'm looking at this. I want to know this. I want to say that they went down 8 feet. I'm trying to scroll down and find it where it says it.
Bottom of that paragraph.
Where is it at?
Right there.
Did you get it? Read it for me, Teddy's trying to.
Well,
Construction priorities were to build. I know that they built that fucking road deep. And we don't do that here in this country. And you know what I learned from my stepdad? Because he worked for Pavement Munchers and a couple other companies. In that is that the state, and this is no slight on you, Larry, working in the asphalt company.
Yeah, I don't have anything to do with the roads.
This
I
is
go in and repair.
okay. But this is a total, well, you're involved in the industry, so I always make the disclaimer.
Right.
But the idea is they don't want to do these roads to last. That they want to do these roads to last long enough for their contract to be renewed.
Well, another problem is they use concrete instead of asphalt. And in this state, we salt the roads. Salt causes a chemical reaction with the concrete.
Yep,
They put they put the expansion joints in the concrete. They take a saw and they cut the concrete every so many feet. Right. Water gets down in there. The water runs past it. It runs underneath it. You know, if there's a creek by it, water gets underneath it.
Yeah.
It freezes, it thaws. It freezes, it thaws. The
Correct.
concrete breaks up. You got to throw it away. Asphalt stays pliable. Another thing you can do is you can drive down a concrete freeway, especially in a big truck, because your tires slap. That as you cross them.
Dude, I can't stand that shit.
Yeah, you do it in a semi, and you feel it, right?
Yep.
You feel it along with it. Get on an asphalt road,
Nice and smooth.
nice and smooth.
Correct. That's why I say
And
the
it's
best.
half the cost.
I sent you a thing on roads here in Michigan.
Okay.
It's kind of important.
That's why I say the best dynamics. You want me to play the video? Oh, it's not going to auto unmute. Anything else?
For preparing their vehicles for the surface of Mars. In other news, NASA has begun testing their Mars rovers in Michigan. Apparently, the potholes are great for preparing their vehicles for the surface of Mars. In other news, NASA has begun testing their Mars rovers in Michigan.
But you're right. So my problem is, Larry, is that we don't do. Here's the thing. Roman roads made out of rock and mortar.
I thought they had some kind of other thing that we don't even know about.
Correct. Well, what they used was volcanic ash in their mortar, and the volcanic ash is one of the huge things. They act like it's a huge thing when they used Portland cement, when Portland cement had these revolutionary dynamics. But really, it's this dynamic of having volcanic ash in your cement. There are structures in Rome, if we believe the timeline, that are 2,000 to 3,000 years old, that are still strong today for vehicles to drive over.
Yep.
They're not breaking down.
Well,
and we go, what the fuck's going on? We can't build a road that lasts more than 10 years.
Yep. And that's because, like you were saying, the state has no interest in it. It's all the companies, and you have to, they do it in a poor job for contracts.
Correct.
The reason why we even built, Autobahn was built, Roman roads, interstate, was for better internal integration, where we could get from one side of the empire to the other in a quick and efficient time, so we could enforce against rebellions or promote trade and internal trade.
You're correct. And one of the reasons that Hitler or that Eisenhower liked what Hitler did, Eisenhower. The reason that they liked what they did in there is because the Nazis and Hitler built their roads in order to sustain an 80,000-pound tank rolling down it.
Yep.
That's what they built it for. They're like, if we're going to have an infrastructure, we're going to have a thoroughfare, our military equipment needs to be able to cruise down this without any problem. So Eisenhower comes in and he goes, you know what, we're going to create the North American highway system. You look that up. That's Eisenhower pioneered that. And he wanted these strong structures, but he didn't build it to the extent that they did.
Yep.
There are structures today that the Nazis built that'll take you a lot of fucking bombs to blow up.
Yep. It's like that with...
They poured so much concrete in it.
It's like that when you look at a certain conflict in Europe, where the main thing of where you're one side, you're defending these apartment blocks, these Soviet apartment blocks.
Yeah.
They're so well constructed and like full of like reinforced concrete that you have to shell it and like use these like 500 to 3,000 pound glide bombs to directly hit it to like take it out.
Yes.
But
I got a fucking stump behind the building that I can't fucking break up. I'm like cutting it and doing all this stuff. I'm like, dude, you build something strong enough, like God does, but men can have a lower level of structural integrity.
Yep.
You go, what the hell? Anyway, so the Autobahn is it's a miracle, and I don't think it was still surpassed. I think it's still the highest level. The Volkswagen, the people's car. Hitler invented that too. Hitler was a piece of shit. He genocided a lot of people, but he also was propped up by the globalists, by the elites, and he had some really good ideas.
Kind of like Kamala Harris.
Yeah.
I don't think Kamala Harris had any.
Well, she had no good ideas, but she was propped up.
She was propped up.
Yeah, she was propped up. But Hitler, the Autobahn, his military-industrial complex, and the Volkswagen, the people's car, he had some good stuff. And it says another important reason for building highways was to motorize Germany. This accorded with the Nazis' self-presentation of motorization. Anyways, they built these fucking roads. So that's why I say, from my experience, you take and you put in a huge concrete base, and what Larry's talking about, the lines that you have to put in it, the lines you have to put in it for expansion and contraction. Yes. But if you cover it in a great layer of asphalt, which he knows about, you cover it in 2 to 3 layers of asphalt, right? And what's the machine, Larry, where it comes in and it chews up the asphalt and recycles it?
It's called a rotomill.
Rotomill. So they can come in every 5 to 10 years and they can run the rotomill through there on a huge concrete base, and the weather never touches the concrete because you've got 2 to 3 inches of asphalt on the top. So you get that smooth layer he's talking about, but you get the concrete base, the solid foundation that it talks about in scripture, right?
Yeah.
And especially in Michigan, we've got so many heavy equipment running down these roads. We need to have a buffer, right? I took my grandkids over to Genoa Township here, and they've got a great little park. And at one point, I did get out of the truck. When I first got there, I just parked, left the truck running with the air conditioning on, and I said, "Get the hell out of my truck! Get out! I love you. Get out of my truck. Go play." So I run over there, jumping around, doing all that stuff. And at a certain point, I get out of the truck just to let the moms know I wasn't a creeper, but actually my grandkids were there running around, right? And I had to take a piss, so that was part of it. And they got porta johns. So I get out and I stepped onto the ground up tires. That's what they have in most of the playgrounds now is ground up rubber tires, right? I stepped on it and it felt like I was walking on a marsh. It's all squishy, right? And I'm like, that's the way the road should be is have this absorbent layer at the top and then this solid concrete layer underneath. But we don't do it the way we should. And so it fucking breaks down and it falls to shit, right? If you do a 4-foot or 8-foot concrete base, I was driving through traffic today. I'm watching them and I'm going, you're packing sand? I read in scripture that anything built on sand is going to fail. But you're going to pack the sand down and then put an 8-inch layer of concrete and then maybe put a 2-inch layer of asphalt on top of that. And you think that's going to last more than 10 years?
That's even dumber.
That's dumb.
Putting asphalt on top of concrete is stupid. Every place you put that little cut in the asphalt or in the concrete, the asphalt's going to crack. Guaranteed. Then, when you want to pull that road apart, right, years down the road or that parking lot or whatever it is you're building, you can't get rid of the rubble because nobody wants asphalt and concrete mixed together.
Okay.
Nobody wants
and we'll talk about this more. My only question is, in the Autobahn, they did like an 8-foot layer of concrete and put a thin layer of asphalt so they could pull the asphalt off on a regular basis and put new asphalt down to absorb, and the concrete stays intact. That's the only thing I'm saying. In Michigan, we do a shit layer of concrete and then a shit layer of asphalt over it.
They've used bad concrete too. In the state of Michigan, there was a period of time where they laid bad concrete for years. It was a bad mix.
Yeah.
They come up with these mixes, they come out with them, and then they find out years later that they're bad mixes. The roads are all breaking up. You look at them. You ever seen the little look like pot marks all over concrete?
Yep.
Okay,
yeah.
that's what salt does to it.
Yep.
100%.
That's what salt does to it.
What I'm saying on that whole dynamic is the Nazis came up with a better system because they had to, and they were looking at warfare and 80,000 pounds.
When I was in Germany, Germans also, when they go through the bidding process here in the United States, it's a cutthroat thing. That's why a lot of companies,
lowest bidder, not best quality.
Right. And here it's lowest cost.
Lowest bidder. Yeah.
Right. And a lot of companies don't want to deal with that. They want to make money. And when there's more money in what we do versus what they're doing on the road, then we're going to stick with what we do, doing driveways and parking lots. Like we just spent the weekend. I think I sent your phone a bunch of videos from the Detroit Grand Prix.
You did. You bombarded me. You hit me up hardcore.
I did.
I love you.
I called you too because the guy that was.
You did.
Yeah. I was going to bring you with me.
I didn't get the invite. Did you say, "Hey, what are you doing, buddy"? I was taking a minute to at least entertain your idea.
Yeah. So.
Hey,
But anyways,
did you get it all, Larry?
Yeah, I got enough of it.
Your fucking laptop's
I want to cover just a couple of headlines right now. The woman that said, what's her name? SPLC Benson, that said she would comply with.
Once you elect me governor, I'll comply to anything that you want.
Well,
but I haven't complied to anything up to this point.
Right.
So just trust me.
Yeah.
Just trust me.
She'll comply with Freedom of Information Act requests if she gets elected governor. But
if
the House resolution just held Jocelyn Benson in contempt after she snubbed their subpoena request. So she's right now in contempt of the Michigan House, right? And of course, she had to say something about that.
I usually mute my microphone if I have to sneeze or cough or something like that.
But the final story,
bitch.
Here's the final
Sorry,
story.
guys, I apologize.
Duggan's Detroit ranked second to last for best places to raise a family.
What? Say again, Larry? Michigan ranks second to last.
Mike Duggan's Detroit ranked second to last for best places to raise a family.
Dude, I was connected to 2 different ministries down in Detroit.
Yes.
Black churches. Black churches in Detroit.
Yeah.
Who put clubs and all sorts of shit on their vehicles and had their vehicles stolen in front of the church.
Yes.
On Woodward. Right in front.
Yeah.
It literally, one time, thieves pulled up, pushed the vehicle with another vehicle around the corner so they could do this and stole whatever they could. And I go, guys, was it a bunch of white people? A bunch of white mongrels from fucking Flint coming down? No, it was another black motherfuckers coming down here. They used other terms. I was like, okay. So is it really a racial issue, or is it a economic and demographic issue? And we had those discussions.
Yeah.
And that's why they assassinated some of their leaders in the black community, because they actually pointed out that maybe in the black community, maybe in our different communities, black, Latino, white, you know what? I don't want to see a bunch of white fucking assholes out there. I'm going to call them out if they're a bunch of white assholes. It's the same way that blacks in the black community need to call out. There's no defense if there's any truth to what was it? What was this fucking? I'm losing it. The comedian, black comedian.
There's a couple. I mean, Richard Pryor.
No, the next guy. Fuck! I can see his face. I'm always good at faces. Can't see him. Cliff Huxtable.
I can't think of what you're talking about.
The guy who was
Murray?
accused of giving roofies to all these chicks.
Bill Cosby.
Oh,
Bill Cosby. Thank you.
yeah.
Bill Cosby, right? As soon as I say roofies right there, right? Do you know what he was doing right up to the point that he got accused by all these women of roofing them? Calling out his own community for not stepping up and doing the right thing. He was holding his own community accountable for their bullshit. Right before he got accused. Was he accused properly? I don't know. Yeah. But I'll tell you this. The minute he poked his head out and said, our fucking community needs to step up and own their own bullshit, that's when all the accusations came out. Yeah. Was he a piece of shit? Maybe. Not discounting that. But the minute he stepped up and said, our own community needs to own their own bullshit.
Yeah, but how many women came out against Trump too?
Blasey Ford came out against Kavanaugh, and Kavanaugh was never fucking there.
Right. Yeah.
All bullshit. Sign my paper, Patrick. Give me your final thought, my friend.
Final thought. Well, we're in a pretty good time here. You know, we've got one hell of a battle ahead of us, and as we can see, the Democrats aren't giving up. They're a ruthless bunch, but they're a ruthless bunch. I'm going to, add to that the Republicans are a bunch of frickin' wimps, because they don't step up at all.
Candy ass motherfuckers.
Yep, and it's evident in the way they vote in Congress. It's evident right down to the way they'll sit on the sidelines and watch you do battle. They'll agree with you, but they'll sit on the sidelines and watch you just get your ass kicked.
In the beginning of a conflict, the patriot is a scarce man, and hated and scorned. But in the end, the timid join him because his cause succeeds.
But the other side of the coin is that the Democrats pool together. You make a statement, maybe true, but they're going to be on you like ants on a frickin' piece of bread. They are on you. And you're trying to do battle to bump them off with truth. And the Republicans will sit there and just watch you get your ass kicked. And that pisses me off. And I'm talking about, personally, what I went through with the Republican Party, and you were part
I
of that.
fucking
I hired
was right
an
there with you.
attorney to get myself out of it. Okay?
Falsely
Did you
accused of
really?
bullshit.
Yes, I did.
Dude, he was at the fucking convention for 10 fucking minutes. And
you had to hire an attorney?
He came in and he
You
goes,
need to sue them to get those fees back.
well,
I
let's
just
talk
happened-
after the show.
Yeah.
But I literally was, Patrick's like, dude, I need your keys. I'm
I'm out of here.
out of here.
Yeah.
I had to get a fucking ride home from the convention because he had to leave because of bullshit. Listen, and to your point, Patrick, in scripture it talks about like you cover your brother's offense. Nobody talks about this shit. Nobody deals with this shit. What it means to cover a brother's offense, to overlook an offense, to deal to protect your brother. Doesn't if you're a fucking pedophile and you're diddling little kids and you're a minister, I'm not gonna protect your ass. I'm gonna fucking expose you. But if you're a brother and you're falsely accused, I'm gonna come to your offense 100 fucking % until I'm shown otherwise that I shouldn't do that. And the Democrat Party does that to a T. They will back each other. They're a bunch of pedophiles, leftist pieces of shit who are doing all sorts of shady shit. And the Republicans, if we hear a rumor, a slight inference that you might not be, then we go, no, I don't have nothing to do with that guy. He's a piece of shit. And we throw each other to the curb.
Yeah.
Okay.
Instead of coming to each other's defense,
Yeah.
scripturally, I can point out thousands of scriptures that talk about that. Larry, sign my paper. Patrick, I'm sorry, I jumped in.
That was it.
Okay. Larry, sign my paper
All right.
and give me your final thoughts before I go to young Teddy, who refrained from talking about boomers tonight. I appreciate it. His grandparents were tuning in.
I am going to definitely remind everybody that this is Groomer Awareness Month. So make sure you
Groomer awareness.
yeah,
Month.
make sure you let your children know.
Don't be a groomer.
Yeah, but
Don't grab your rainbow flag and have your little kid waving out there in front of a.
yep. If you see a business and it's got a rainbow flag, go
Tell
to
them to
another
fuck
one.
themselves.
Yeah,
Well, that would probably be misconstrued.
yeah.
Tell them to not fuck themselves because
Yes,
they're all about their sexuality.
Yeah. Well, they're all about pushing their sexuality on kids.
I'm
on children.
heterosexual. I don't care.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm gay.
I don't care.
I don't care.
Yeah, I really don't care. Just live your life. If you want to live in sin, you go ahead, and I'll pray for you. That's all I can say about that. You have the right to do that. You don't have to follow the teachings of Christ. You really don't.
But these perverted people can't do that.
Right. But here's the thing. Don't push it on kids.
Don't push it on
The
kids.
second you start pushing it on kids, putting rainbow flags in schools, trying to put boys and girls bathrooms, locker room showers,
And Larry's
boys and
gonna
girls
fucking punch you in the face.
I don't. I have no tolerance for you.
No tolerance.
Well, I have no tolerance for people who are a threat to this country, to the children or society, or however you want to say it. Leave the kids alone. Gays against groomers.
Hell yeah. This is
Yeah.
this is what we're talking about. Larry has spoken. Gays against groomers. Let me give it to you. There you go. Teddy's signing that shit.
Well, there's, sometimes kids are pretty sharp. There's a story about a guy who was an atheist who sat down on a park bench next to a little girl who believed in God, and he said, "I'm going to show you that God does not exist." And she said to him, "Well, let me ask you a question first. A horse, a cow, and a deer all eat the same thing. They eat grass. But when a horse craps, it craps out big pellets, big chunks. When a cow craps, it's a big pile. When a deer craps, it's little tiny pebbles. Why is it that they're different?" The guy said, "Well, I have no idea." And she said, "Well, how are you going to teach me that God doesn't exist when it's quite clear that you don't know shit?"
Well, I had one of our viewers that reached out to me
Okay.
to tell me that his son was in school.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter where, but locally.
Yeah.
And a boy tried to go in and use the girls' bathrooms, and his son intervened. Said, "You can't go in there. You got a dick."
Nice.
His 9-year-old son.
His 9-year-old son. He's like,
stood up.
He's like, dude, you got a dick. What are you doing?
Yeah.
Listen, my 11-year-old grandkids know the fucking truth.
Yeah.
Teddy?
I think that what's been going on lately has been what you could say two things that I've learned from the show. Don't believe your lying eyes, and beware the weapon of mass distraction. Despite what's been going on lately, nothing is really changing. Sure, the woke is being put away, but that's because they had to. Because military numbers are going down.
Yep.
No one's really going to fight for a society that pushes the wokeness on people.
Yeah.
But besides that, we still have somewhat of a decline. The security state and apparatus of the deep state is still well entrenched, as we can see with the Palantir and the Peter Thiel network and BlackRock being heavily involved with the current administration.
Fuck those guys.
There aren't really mass deportations yet due to the bureaucracy and judicial system that is meant to prevent any real change from happening.
Yeah.
When we were doing shock and awe, what happens? Yeah. Injunction.
Yeah.
And due to how slow our legal system is, and remember, you can't get a right to a fair and speedy trial these days.
True. Very true.
A lot of what we voted for change is going to be stopped by the system and unelected people that, in all sense, are part of the enemy. We are playing by their rules.
Yeah. Correct.
So my issue is that most people aren't really being, told this. They're being kind of fed slop on X, formerly Twitter, and a bunch of other mainstream platforms. Everything's great. Look at Trump this. Look at Trump that. Look at Trump this. We're America's coming back, baby. But has anything really changed? It's been over 100 days. I was holding my breath on talking about the administration until a meaningful amount of time has passed.
Yeah.
Are gas prices below $3?
Yes. I paid $2.77
on average.
I paid $3.29 with my Speedway discount.
I paid $3.25 at the mobile on the way here
yesterday. No, today.
You're talking about Livingston County.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I don't buy gas.
We're gonna fuck. Yeah, we're gonna.
But it hasn't really changed, right?
Right.
We're
not down to $1.80.
And I think the problem is that what I'm concerned about is that the good things about the Trump administration, Doge, deportations, all that, is being stopped or is being
stifled.
Being stifled because we are still less organized than our opponents to some extent. The Democratic Party in itself is in shambles and they're doing terrible. But their support base, the true power holders, are just shifting a little bit to keep power and make people distracted.
The judges are violating their constitutional
and we're
oaths.
not, and nothing is going on, and nothing is happening about that. We're just saying, okay, I guess we'll try again. Andrew Jackson had a solution for it.
Yeah,
that's all I got to say.
Yep.
What was his solution for it?
The courts have made the decision. Let them enforce it.
Oh yeah.
Anyways, I still have hope, but I would like to remind people to, number one, don't believe what you see.
Yeah.
And number two, do not get distracted by weapons of mass destruction or distraction.
A big part of that is the media, which is still a problem. And
huge.
That needs to be rectified.
I love quoting Ronald Reagan, and it's trust but verify. Trust what you think you're trusting, whatever Fox or whatever it is, whatever your news outlet is. Great, trust it, but then fucking verify. You're exactly right. No, I agree with you, Teddy. We've got to stay vigilant. We've got to stay on the edge of this and look at the truth and not drink the fucking Kool-Aid thinking this is the right way to go. We got to hold our leaders' feet to the fire and hold them accountable, because if we don't, then we're failing as constituents. We're failing as people who actually say that we're allowing you to represent us.
Mm-hmm.
That's the dynamic.
And if it turns out that, Trump really wasn't, for what we stand for, then
we got to hold him accountable.
We got to hold them accountable and just learn our lesson from it.
Correct.
Yeah, I learned a long time ago not to buy gas in Livingston County.
Yeah.
For some reason.
Well, there's that.
I don't know why.
Constitutional Livingston County with the highest fucking
gas anywhere around.
That's fucking ridiculous.
I bought gas last week. I filled up at Costco in
Costco
in Livonia.
Oh, Costco.
And I paid $2.77.
Costco is the only reliable place that's always been under $3 or the cheapest, right?
Right.
They're the exception.
But
I mean, not everybody lives like close to us. Costco. If I had to go from where I am to the Costco, it'd have to be like a 25-minute drive.
Yeah,
I was thinking
I do it all the time.
Yeah,
Costco to me is.
I don't go for
but
Costco.
you can't go there now.
Oh yeah,
you want to go?
Yeah, because we
can't make reliable roads in Green Oak.
Yeah, you can't get off the freeway. I found that out yesterday.
Holy shit, dude! There's some abominations on Lee Road with the fucking roundabouts.
Five roundabouts in a row.
Jesus, help me.
Well, wait till you see
the good one down on Silver Lake is good.
Wait till you see the horrible intersection they're putting in Brighton on Grand River underneath 96. Wait till you see.
I'm waiting to see it.
It's called the double cross.
Is it double cross or
yeah? You have traffic.
Don't fucking do it.
Traffic becomes normal, right? You're traveling in your lane,
and then you get fucked.
Then you come up to the intersection. There's a light.
It's gonna crisscross.
You cross.
Are we in fucking Indiana?
You go this way,
I hate
and then
Indiana
you go
roads.
that way, and you go. It's the dumbest thing I've seen in 45 years of driving.
Did I say it like 4 times?
Yes.
I fucking hate Indiana roads. You'll be driving straight, and all of a sudden you're in a left turn lane no matter what you did.
Yeah.
And you're like, I didn't want to turn left. Well, now you're going to turn left because we didn't tell you that. We didn't put a sign up. We didn't tell you anything, and you're driving straight. No, fuck you. I want a turn lane.
Yeah.
No, you're fucked. And they have those fucking those crisscross fucking shit.
Yeah.
Fuck that stuff.
Yeah, it's the dumbest thing I've ever
Hey
seen
guys,
in my life.
we didn't do any promotion on tonight, but hit the thumbs up, like, share, and subscribe, do all that stuff. Appreciate you all. Those of you catching the show tomorrow, make sure you hit the thumbs up. Go to thealexjonesstore.com/this is my brain. It's easy to type out. It wasn't a long sentence. thealexjonesstore.com/this is my brain, and buy something on there. It's awesome stuff. You fuckers are hitting your microphones already. I've got to hit. I use multiple products on there, and they're fucking incredible. I use the gummies, the turmeric gummies. I use the sea moss. I use the brain force. I'd use all sorts of stuff. Go and hit that stuff. Check it out. It's awesome stuff, and it helps the show. Check you guys. Do we have somebody coming up on Sunday, Larry? We're going to line some people up on Sunday. We're going to get you a guest on Sunday. Until then, you guys have an awesome week. Proclaim what you want to happen. If you want to have an awesome week, you can proclaim that you're going to have an awesome week. It's not going to start immediately. You're going to have opposition to you proclaiming that. So don't do it and think you're going to have instantaneous results. If you sow fucking bad seeds for years and then you expect, I'm going to sow a good seed today and everything's going to be great. Now you're going to have all sorts of opposition. Sow something good today and expect it next year. Love you guys. Later.
This is my brain.
Dad, that's an egg.
Yeah, that's an egg.
Honey,
Dude.
that's an egg.
Seriously.
That's an egg.
It's a metaphor.
It's still an egg.
That's an egg.
I would challenge you.
That's an egg.
I know my brain is not actually an egg, okay? It's a metaphor.
Metaphor or not, that's not your brain.
It's just an egg.
Una cerveza para mí. My egg is my brain.
Can I at least have some bacon, maybe some sausage with that egg, though?
Oh, I want some bacon.
I want
crepes.
Have some bacon and pancakes with that egg.
I'll take it with cheese.
Extra large brown cage-free eggs.
Can I have your brain with hot cakes?
A little sausage and a little toast and potato.
That would be great.
Does it have antibiotics?
I don't know, man. I'm not good at this shit.
Well, they got to be able to resist some diseases.
You resist the disease.
Has it got any hormones?
Maybe. It's cage free.
Vegetarian?
Maybe.
Are they vegan?
No, I eat steak.
Never apologize and never explain.
Never apologize.
Yeah. Never apologize and never explain.